I am Suming. I work overtime every day to earn money to support my family. But my wife secretly spent all the savings over the years and gave the newly bought house to my younger brother as a wedding house. When I realized that all this was a mistake. Chapter 1. I stood in front of Gu Mingyao, suppressing the anger in my heart, and my voice was so cold that I trembled. Gu Mingyao, I'll ask you again, where did the money in the family go? She seemed a little flustered, her eyes evasive. I used it. What's wrong? Every time I earned money with hard work, I handed it to her without complaint. But this time, I was really fed up. I always give you the project money first, and the family has no other expenses except buying food. My mother is the one who worries about social interactions, and you never ask where the money is spent. She looked disdainful and raised her chin. I just bought a few bags and some cosmetics. I took a step forward and said in a colder voice, "Give me the phone." She quickly protected her phone, her face full of alertness. "What are you doing? Show me your spending records. I want to see where you spent your money." She sneered. "I've already told you I've spent it. What else do you want? Who told you to earn so little money a month? My best friend's husband gives her 50,000 or 60,000 yuan a month." "Shut up." I exploded in anger. There are still more than a dozen people in the company waiting to be paid. If I can't pay them, I will have to sell the house I bought last year. "No." She suddenly panicked. "No." I stared at her coldly and lowered my voice. "I worked hard to earn this house. It has nothing to do with you." She screamed. "But my name is on it too." A chill rose from my back and I asked, "Where's the property certificate?" She suddenly fell silent and avoided my gaze. "The house. I have given the house to my younger brother. He is getting married soon." My head exploded with a buzzing sound, and I grabbed her arm in rage. "Your brother? That loser? He has been living off my parents for so many years, and I introduced so many jobs to him, but he never stayed in them for long, and you actually gave him the house." She was powerless to struggle and looked at me with tears in her eyes. "My brother is getting married soon, and I want to give him a wedding house. My reason has been overwhelmed by anger. Go and get the property certificate back immediately. I have transferred it to him, and his name is on the property deed." Her words were like a sharp knife piercing my heart. I let go of her dejectedly, the coldness in my heart gradually turning into complete despair. She could actually destroy our future for her family. "Su Ming, I won't let you sell the house," she screamed hysterically. I looked at her calmly and said in a low but firm voice, "You have given all my money to your parents and brother over the years. In this case, you should live with them from now on." There was a flash of panic in her eyes. You want to divorce me?" "Yes." I uttered a word tiredly, my heart already numb. "Over the years, I have been devoted to you, but you have never cherished it. Maybe we should have left long ago." "You're crazy." She looked at me in disbelief, but at this moment I no longer cared. As the night deepened, I walked out of the room. The cold wind blew, and my heart seemed to be frozen. However, just as I walked out of the community, a beam of car lights suddenly shone towards me, accompanied by a sharp sound of brakes. I felt a sharp pain and lost consciousness in an instant. I opened my eyes in a daze and found myself sitting in a classroom. All around me were familiar scenes, and on the blackboard were written a few big words. 2014 National College Entrance Examination, English Test Paper. I am reborn? An uncontrollable excitement surged in my heart. "Di Tuzhong, thank you for your hard work." After the college entrance examination, I followed the crowd to the school gate. My ears were filled with the voices of my classmates answering questions, but I was lost in my own thoughts. At the age of 18, I was young, free, and without any burden. But 10 years later, I had already become exhausted by the blow of reality, and my life was a mess. If I hadn't pursued Gu Mingyao, would my life be different? I asked myself this question countless times, but unexpectedly, God gave me a chance to start over. Just as I was approaching the school gate, I suddenly heard a familiar voice behind me. "Su Ming! Su Ming!" I turned around and saw a boy in a green t-shirt and glasses running towards me. He put one hand on my shoulder and said with a heavy breath, "Didn't you say you would wait for me? Why did you run away by yourself?" Viagra. A complex emotion surged in my heart. Qin Jiwei frowned. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I raised my lips slightly and didn't explain much. If I told him that I drank with him last night, he would never believe it. "How did you do on the test?" he asked. "It's okay. I think I can get into one of the first books." I replied nonchalantly. Qin Jiwei curled his lips and said with a smile, If you can get into a top university, I will take your last name. I held his hand and said with a smile, let's go ask your dad if he agrees. Get out. Qin Jiwei cursed with a smile. I remember very clearly that we went to the same university together 10 years ago, but our love lives were not smooth. I won't talk about it, but Qin Jiwei's marriage was even more tragic. He was cheated on in the second year of his marriage. After that, he raised his children alone and lived the life of a single father early on. Su Ming, are you going to number 2 middle school later? Qin Jiwei asked. Why go to number 2 middle school? Gu Mingyao is there. Didn't you say you would go find her after the exam? As soon as Gu Mingyao's name came out, I felt an endless chill in my heart. I chuckled and said expressionlessly, why are you looking for her? I want to have dinner with my parents. Qin Jiwei was obviously surprised. What's going on? Haven't you been pursuing her? She's already reborn. Who would still pursue her? I lowered my voice. He didn't hear clearly, nor did he ask, but just looked at me with some doubt. However, my feelings for Gu Mingyao were no longer a secret in high school. For her, I bought breakfast for her countless times in the morning, and everyone in the class knew my feelings for her. But Gu Mingyao was always ambiguous towards me, sometimes cold and sometimes hot, and our relationship was not really clear until college. This unclear ambiguity made me pay a heavy price 10 years later. I walked out of the school gate and saw my parents standing across the street from afar. Their young appearance made me feel a little overwhelmed. Dad was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and Mom was wearing a red cheongsam. They waved at me expectantly. Su Ming here, Mom shouted. Looking at their young faces, I felt a wave of emotion. In the 10 years before my rebirth, they had been so worried about me. Gu Mingyao's indifference to my parents deeply hurt them, and for my sake, my mother had always endured it. A deep sense of guilt and regret surged in my heart. Son, how did you do in the exam? The mother asked with concern. Before I could answer, my father interrupted. Didn't we agree not to ask first? The mother glared at him and said, I care about my son. What's your business? I watched their bickering with a smile, and my heart was filled with warmth. 10 years ago, I turned a blind eye to these little things, but now I cherish them even more. Dad, Mom, I did quite well in the exam. I'm sure I'll get into a second-tier university. Maybe I can even get into a first-tier university, I said lightly. The parents' faces instantly showed surprise. Their only son finally had good news. The father excitedly took out the car keys and said, let's go, let's celebrate today. Looking at my mother holding my hand, I silently swore in my heart that this time, I must live a different life, not only to change my destiny, but also to let my parents live a happy life. Freejong magic beats magic. When I came out of the restaurant, it was already late at night. The music in the people's square was still loud, and the elderly were happily dancing to the song Little Apple. I followed my parents, and my heart was filled with a long-lost sense of ease and warmth. My home is in a community near the number 1 middle school in the city. Although it is a little old, it is still a familiar home to me. When will the college entrance examination results come out? My mother asked casually as she opened the door. Probably around the 23rd. I answered easily. When I got home, I quickly changed my shoes, rushed to the balcony to collect clothes, and then rushed into the bathroom to take a cold shower. When I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself at the age of 18, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. At the age of 28, I was tired and life had already overwhelmed me. But now, the me in the mirror was full of energy, bright eyes, and a well-maintained figure. After taking a shower, I wiped my hair casually and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked good, 1.78 meters tall, and had a moderate weight. Although my facial features were not outstanding, they were combined to make me handsome. This might be the reason why Gu Mingyao did not explicitly reject me back then. Thinking of Gu Mingyao, I couldn't help but feel complicated. During the 3 years of high school, I pursued her relentlessly, but she always kept me hanging, sometimes close and sometimes distant. In the past, I naively thought that she was just afraid of falling in love too early and affecting her studies. Now that I have been reborn, I understand that she is just treating me as a backup. I returned to my room, which was still covered with NBA star posters, and my desk was piled with review materials. I opened the drawer and took out an old Lenovo phone that had accompanied me throughout high school. I turned on my phone, and the familiar QQ interface appeared in front of me. There were 2 familiar names in the group. One was My World, and the other was Only You Are Allowed to Exist. In the latter, there was only one person, Gu Mingyao. When I saw her name, my heart ached. I used to regard her as the center of my world. Now, I decisively deleted her note, baby, and removed the special care. Just when I was hesitating whether to delete her, Gu Mingyao's message popped up. "Why didn't you come to see me today?" she asked. I sneered and replied simply, "I'm busy." She continued, "If you do this, I will ignore you in the future." I thought about it, deleted the long reply I was going to write, and simply replied with 2 words, "Okay." Seeing that she didn't reply for a long time, I couldn't help but laugh. I used to chase her, but now the initiative is finally back in my hands. At this point in my life, I know that the future is no longer predetermined, and I am standing at a brand new starting point. Thinking of this, a new fighting spirit was ignited in my heart. I will not repeat the same mistakes, but seize every opportunity of fate. This time, I want to live a different life. D4 summer job. Perhaps it was because of my habit of getting up early during my 3 years of high school that I woke up naturally at 5:30 in the morning. It was not yet completely light outside the window, so I yawned and lay back on the bed, trying to sleep for a while. But when I opened my eyes and saw that I was still in the room in 2014, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and confirmed that I was really reborn. My parents hadn't gotten up yet, so I washed up and went into the kitchen to prepare breakfast. After we got married, Gu Mingyao almost never did housework. I cooked and she ate, and if I didn't cook, she would order takeout. At first I thought she couldn't cook, and I wanted to teach her, but later I found that she didn't want to learn at all, and she even said, "I don't even cook at home. Why should I cook for you when I marry you?" This sentence made me helpless at the time, and now when I think about it, I just think it's ridiculous. I looked through the refrigerator and found some preserved eggs and lean meat, so I decided to cook a pot of preserved egg and lean meat porridge. While I was busy, my parents came out of the room and saw me busy in the kitchen, and they were obviously stunned. "Son, what are you doing?" Dad Su Xiangdong asked in surprise. "Cook some porridge." "I'm hungry." I smiled and looked back, finding their expressions a little funny. Mom Zhang Hong came over, stared at the pot, then looked at my bowl, her face full of surprise. "Lao Su, has our son become a different person?" "It's possible." Dad agreed. I rolled my eyes. "If you don't eat now, you'll be late for work." While eating porridge, my parents sighed. "Su Ming, your cooking skills are quite good. When did you learn it?" I searched it online and followed the tutorial. I replied with a smile. This simple breakfast made them so happy. Seeing my parents' satisfied smiles, I felt a little guilty. In the past, I took out all my temper on them, leaving my good temper for those who didn't deserve it. Now I know what to do. After my parents finished eating, they went out to work, leaving me alone at home. I had nothing to do, so I sent a message to Qin Jue. "What are you doing?" He responded quickly, "Enjoy life. Come out and look for a summer job." I typed this sentence. "What? Didn't you say yesterday that you wanted to sleep for a day?" Qin Jue obviously didn't understand my sudden change. "I can't sleep, so I found something to do." I replied with a smile. As for Gu Mingyao, the first thing she did after waking up in the morning was to pick up her phone, only to find that I still hadn't sent her a message. She felt a little disappointed and angrily thought, "If you don't contact me today, I will ignore you in the future." At this moment, I was meeting with Qin Jiwei to discuss summer jobs. He asked in surprise, "Brother, the college entrance examination just ended yesterday, and you want to work during the summer vacation today? Are you crazy? What do you know?" I retorted, "The purpose of studying is to go to a good university. The purpose of going to university is to find a good job, and the purpose of working is to make money. Instead of waiting until you go to university to make money, you might as well start now." Qin Jiwei was speechless and had to follow me into the milk tea shop. We ordered 2 cups of kumquat lemon, and I smiled and said to him, "You are stupid. When college students are on vacation, it will be difficult to find a summer job." When paying the bill, I patted him on the shoulder and said, "Wei Gu, it's your treat today." He reluctantly took out his phone to pay and complained, "You kid, you only know how to make me pay. D5 you are awesome." It is indeed not easy to find a summer job. If you work in a factory, it is too tiring and the rewards are not high. If you work as a waiter, you not only have to look at other people's faces, but the salary is also low. If takeout is popular, you can still deliver takeout, but in this era, takeout can only be seen in university towns and commercial areas. "Su Ming, what kind of job are you looking for?" Qin Jiwei asked helplessly. "The kind that requires less work, more freedom, and more money." I answered casually. Qin Jiwei rolled his eyes at me and said, "If you want to be a duck, just say so." "Get lost," I cursed with a smile. We wandered around the city center for an entire afternoon, and found nothing. Qin Jue was so tired that he squatted on the side of the road. Look for it yourself. My parents said that if I pass the entrance exam, they will give me 10,000 yuan directly. I smiled and said, you won't pass the exam. He was not convinced. This year's test paper is so difficult, the passing score might be very low. Last night I dreamed that you just passed the second tier line in the college entrance examination. I joked. Get lost. I ignored him. My eyes were drawn to a bar on the street. The sign at the door read Meet Music Bar. I patted Qin Jiwei and said, let's go over there and take a look. He waved his hand. Go by yourself? I'm too lazy to move. I ignored him and walked straight to the bar. The bar was not open for the afternoon, and there was only one waitress cleaning. I walked up to her and asked, are you hiring for summer jobs? I'll go ask the boss lady. The waiter turned around to look for someone. Not long after, a woman in her 30s came over. She was wearing a short black t-shirt, jeans that outlined her slender waist and long legs, and her red nail polish on her toes revealed a hint of charm. She smiled and looked at me. Are you looking for a job? I nodded. Yes, I just finished the college entrance examination and I want to find a summer job. She smiled and said, so what are your specialties? My specialty is specialty, I said mysteriously. She was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Interesting guy. Our working hours are from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Are you okay? No problem. I'm used to studying at night. She continued, the salary is 2,800 a month, and the full attendance bonus is 150. Although it's not much, it's easier than other jobs, and I only need to work 6 hours a day. I thought about it and agreed. Okay, when can I start work? Tomorrow. Okay, what's your name, Madam Boss? She smiled and replied, Pei Yue. After saying goodbye to Pei Yue, I walked back in a good mood and found Qin Jue. It's done. I'll start work tomorrow. Is this true or false? Really? You haven't seen the boss lady. She's absolutely stunning, has a great figure, and a sweet voice. Qin Jue looked skeptical. I don't believe it. Believe it or not. I smiled and continued walking forward. Qin Jue quickly followed. Fuck, take me to see it. Go by yourself. Qin Jue sighed. Okay, wait until you are on your feet and then follow me. When I got home, I told my parents about my summer job. My mother objected. You just finished the college entrance examination. You can just rest. There is no need to work. I leaned on her shoulder like a spoiled child. Mom, I want to take my salary and go travel. Seeing this, the father smiled and acted as a peacemaker. It's not bad to let my son exercise in advance. My mother smiled helplessly. You two are always in the same group. Chapter 6. Dating is meaningless. The college entrance examination results will not be released until the 20th, which is still half a month away. I found a summer job in advance, mainly to save some initial capital. As for love? I don't even want to talk about it. I slept until dawn, and because I had to go to work that night, I stayed in bed for a while. Not long after I got up, Qin Jiwei's message popped up. People with autism. Have you read the group messages? I don't. Autistic patient. Li Nan said that we will have a class reunion tomorrow, eat at a restaurant in the evening, and go to KTV at night. Me? I'm busy. In fact, after entering college, I had very few contacts with my high school classmates. I had always been a low presence in class, my grades were average, and I hardly talked to anyone except Qin Jiwei. Autistic person. You won't even attend this? Gu Mingyao will go too. Me? What does it have to do with me whether she goes or not? Autistic person. Brother, what's wrong with you? Haven't you always liked her? Me. That was in the past. Qin Jiwei was silent, and I did not reply. In the afternoon, I started to study stock knowledge at home. Although I knew that 2014 to 2015 was a bull market, I was not familiar with the operation of the stock market. So I took this opportunity to catch up. At 4 p.m. in the evening, I set out on time to meet the music bar. The proprietress Pei Yue had just arrived and was sitting at the counter counting the bills. When she saw me, she was a little surprised. You really came? I shrugged. I always keep my word. Pei Yue's eyes narrowed into a crescent when she smiled, which made her look very charming. She handed me a waiter's uniform and told me that the job was simple. Serving wine, wiping tables, and cleaning. I agreed very happily. After all, this job seemed much easier than other summer jobs. After dark, guests started arriving, mostly young couples, students who had just finished the college entrance exam, the type who would hide in corners and do things furtively. Pei Yue saw me standing there and took the initiative to talk to me. Xiao Su, do you have a partner? I shook my head. No. She didn't believe it. You are so handsome. There must be a girl who likes you, right? I smiled and said, really? I'm not very good at chasing people, and there's no point in dating. Dating is boring? Then what do you find interesting? She was obviously amused by my answer. To make money, I said bluntly. She laughed even more happily. How can you be so mercenary as a high school student? Prospective college student, I corrected. At this moment, a long-haired young man with a guitar came into the store, sat in the music area, and started singing. Zhang Xiaoan leaned close to Pei Yue's ear and whispered, Madam Boss, he's late again. Pei Yue sighed helplessly. It's hard to find resident singers nowadays, forget it. I asked curiously, Madam Boss, how much does he charge for a performance? It's $150 a day, and it's 2 hours of singing. I was a little surprised. 150 for singing for 2 hours? Pei Yue laughed and teased me. If you think you can't sing well, sing a song later. If you sing better than him, I will give you an extra 100. I agreed without hesitation. After all, I had practiced guitar in college and my level was not bad. Looking at the young man who was singing, I suddenly missed my past self. At this moment, my phone vibrated. I looked down and saw that it was a party message from class monitor Li Nan. Pei Yue saw that I didn't reply to the message and smiled. Why didn't you reply? Could it be your girlfriend? No, it's about a class reunion. Why don't you go? High school reunions are rare. I was silent for a few seconds and nodded. Okay, I'll take a day off tomorrow. Thank you, boss lady. Chapter 7. Playing hard to get. It was late at night, and I sat in the shop, looking at the few customers who had come. After the peak period from 9 to 10 o'clock, the bar gradually returned to calm. The resident singer Guohai looked at the time and prepared to leave. I was about to clean the table when I heard the proprietress Pei Yue call him. Guohai, wait a moment. Guohai stopped and looked at her with some confusion. Anything else? Pei Yue pointed at me and said to him, This is our new summer intern, Su Ming. He said he can sing too. Can you help play the guitar accompaniment? Guohai frowned and said unhappily, You want me to accompany him? His self-esteem as a literary young man was obviously hit. I quickly stepped forward and said with a smile, Brother Guo, there's no need to bother you with the accompaniment. Just lend me your guitar for a while. Guohai looked me up and down, seemingly unconvinced. Can you play it? I nodded. I learned a little. Guohai glanced at Pei Yue, and although he was reluctant, he still handed the guitar to me. I took the guitar skillfully, put it on my back, plucked the strings a few times with my fingers, and after confirming the pitch, walked towards the seat where Guohai had just sat. Pei Yue, Zhang Xiaoan, and Zhouing all looked at me curiously. They probably thought that I was a summer intern with a poor family background. So how could I have the opportunity to learn guitar? They were waiting to see if I was bragging. After a moment, I looked up and said to Pei Yue, Madam Boss, I'll just sing a random song. All is fine. Pei Yue nodded with a smile. I took a deep breath, alternately slapped the guitar panel with my palms and fingers, plucked the strings, and the familiar prelude melody immediately flowed out. Guohai looked at me. His eyes gradually widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. I leaned close to the microphone and sang On a Bridge, a song I hadn't sung for a long time. Let me look at you again from south to north. It's like your eyes are blinded by the Fifth Ring Road. Please tell me about that day again. The singing voice echoed in the store. It was completely different from the usual voice. My voice had a magnetic and mature tone that didn't belong to my age. Pei Yue's eyes flashed with surprise. She obviously didn't expect that I could really play and sing. She couldn't help wondering, how could I sing this song at this age? Guohai's face changed slightly. He realized that I might replace him. The few tables of guests who had not yet left the pub were also attracted by the sound and listened quietly. The atmosphere became soft and sad. I know there are too many regrets in this world every day, so hello and goodbye. After the last line of the lyrics fell, I finished playing the outro, looked up and found that everyone's eyes were focused on me. I smiled awkwardly. Why are you all looking at me? Su Ming, you sing so beautifully. Zhang Xiaoan couldn't help but praise him. I breathed a sigh of relief and said calmly, Just sing whatever you want. Don't be so modest. Pei Yue said with a smile. Our Xiaonan was moved by what she heard. I smiled, returned the guitar to Guohai, and thanked him briefly, but Guohai walked out expressionlessly. Looking at his back, I felt a little worried. Boss lady, brother Guo. Pei Yue patted my shoulder and comforted me. Don't worry about him. You are all my employees. Then she asked me to take out my phone. Do you have WeChat? Some. Add WeChat. I'll transfer a red envelope to you later. I promise to give you 100 yuan, and I won't default on the debt. I was a little surprised. I just said it casually. I keep my word, stop talking nonsense, and show me the QR code. After finishing the first day of summer job, it was late at night. The nightlife in the small town was not lively, and most people had gone to sleep. I was walking on the way home, but I thought of Gu Mingyao. She hadn't sent me a message, and seemed to be waiting for my message. However, I was not in a hurry. It seemed that things had changed between me and her. After taking a shower, I turned on my phone and saw the message she had finally sent me. Are you going to the class reunion tomorrow night? I simply replied, let's talk about it tomorrow. She immediately sent another message. Are you free tomorrow afternoon? Do you want to go shopping? I'm busy. I still replied coldly. She didn't reply. I knew she must be angry. She has always been like this for so many years, with a strong desire to control. But this time, I also want to let her taste the feeling of being ignored. She felt uncomfortable, so she naturally went to her best friend Lu Qian to talk about it. I ignored her, lay on the bed, and quickly fell asleep. Chapter 8 Class Reunion. Class reunions are just a formality for me. After tonight, everyone will probably go their separate ways and live their own lives. Qin Jiwei is different. He sleeps in until noon and rushes to wash his hair as soon as he wakes up. Boys these days are very particular about their hairstyles. They would rather save money and get a hairstyle that increases their height by 5 centimeters from Mr. Tony. Watching him toss and turn, I felt that these actions were really exaggerated. After Qin Jiwei fixed his hair, he put on a black t-shirt and skinny pants, matched with a pair of white sneakers he had just bought, and looked at himself in the mirror with pride. After finishing all this, he called me and came to my house on his electric bike. As soon as the door opened, I almost coughed because of the strong smell of gel water on him. Are you stupid? Spraying so much gel water. I covered my nose in disgust. He asked disapprovingly, how about it? Am I handsome today? I rolled my eyes and said, I don't know if you are handsome or not, but you are definitely energetic today, a very energetic young man. I sat down on the sofa and looked at the question bank of subject 1 on my phone. Qin Jiwei came over and took a look puzzled. Are you crazy? We're done with the college entrance examination, and you're still doing the questions? Without even looking up, I said, question for the driver's license test. Qin Jiwei then realized that I had changed a little. What stimulated you? No, I replied calmly. Did Gu Mingyao reject you? Why do you keep mentioning her? I said, a little annoyed. I have nothing to do with her anymore. The class reunion was at 5 p.m., and we were scheduled to meet at the school gate. Qin Jiwei urged me to go there early at 3 p.m., but I was not in a hurry at all. Why should I go there early to bask in the sun on such a hot day? Finally, at 4:45 p.m., I changed my shoes and prepared to go out. Qin Jiwei saw that I was dressed the same as usual and couldn't help but complain. Aren't you going to change your clothes? I laughed and said, why change clothes? It's not like I'm going on a blind date. We walked to the school gate arm in arm and saw a group of familiar faces gathered under a big tree by the roadside. The monitor, Li Nan, was talking loudly on his cell phone. He was a pretentious person who liked to put on airs in front of his classmates. Looking at these students dressed up in fancy clothes, I felt that I was getting farther and farther away from them. Li Nan put down the phone and called me. Su Ming, Gu Mingyao, Lu Qian, and Duan Qingjun haven't arrived yet. Do you know where they are? I shrugged. How would I know? Li Nan was about to make another phone call to ask, but the other end called first. You guys go eat first, we'll go to KTV later. When I heard that Gu Mingyao and Duan Qingjun were together, several classmates looked at me at the same time. Everyone knew that I liked Gu Mingyao, and they also knew that Duan Qingjun had a crush on her. But I didn't react at all, and I was still as calm as a stone. A large group of people entered the restaurant. Before all the dishes were served, Li Nan and a few boys started drinking, acting like heroes. I didn't say much at the table, just focused on eating. At around 6 o'clock, the private room was already in chaos, so we changed the venue and went to KTV to continue the fun. The KTV was very lively. The big screen was full of popular songs, and boys and girls were scrambling to order songs. I sat in the corner, playing with my phone, which was running out of battery. Seeing that my power bank was running out of power, I had no interest in singing, so I had to drink beer alone and watch everyone's excitement in silence. Qin Jiwei came over and said, Su Ming, why don't you sing 2 songs? I shook my head. I'll just sit for a while and then leave. What time is it? Why do you act like a middle-aged man? I was about to say something when I suddenly heard someone outside the box shouting, Oh no, Lin Jie is arguing with someone. The originally lively box suddenly became quiet. Li Nan led the way out, and Qin Jiwei grabbed me and ran out with me. I suddenly had a premonition that this class reunion tonight was far from being as simple as it seemed. D9 Dong 10 years. You haven't even grown all your hair yet, and you come to a place like this to eat shit. The bald man stood at the bathroom door, with a tiger tattooed on his shoulder, pointing at Lin Jie and cursing. Li Nan and a group of classmates came over, but no one dared to step forward. Li Nan looked around and knew that he couldn't back down, so he had to bite the bullet and go up to apologize. I'm sorry, buddy, my classmate drank too much. Li Nan just opened his mouth, and the bald man yelled back, "Get lost." Li Nan was so scared that he stood there, unable to speak. Everyone looked at each other. No one dared to speak, and their usual prestige disappeared without a trace. I stood behind the crowd and watched for a while. Then I understood the general situation. Lin Jie was drunk and bumped into the bald man who was coming back from the toilet. He even spit on his shoes. The bald man was enraged and started to curse, and Lin Jie even said a few words at the beginning, which only added fuel to the fire. More and more people gathered around, and the bald man became more and more arrogant. I sighed, squeezed through the crowd, walked to Lin Jie, pulled him behind me, and said to the bald man with a smile, "Brother, my classmate is drunk and his mind is not clear. He just finished the college entrance examination. Please be merciful and don't bother with him." The bald man sneered and glared at me. "Who the hell do you think you are? Get out of here." I didn't back down. I leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Brother, don't be shameless. Many of us here are minors. If things get out of hand, will the police help you or us students?" I stared into his eyes, my tone still humble, but my gaze firm. The bald man was stunned for a moment, then realized that this was a way for him to back down, and waved his hand while cursing. Forget it. I won't bother with you little brats." I bowed and sent him off, and the classmates breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Jie patted my shoulder and thanked me. I didn't say much and went straight back to the private room. The classmates were all trying to comfort Lin Jie, but a few guys who usually like to show off were muttering. Su Ming was too flattering just now. He was just a bootlicker. When Qin Jiwei heard this, he immediately retorted, "You were so arrogant just now. Why didn't you go up to help? Why are you acting like a big shot here now?" The boys were speechless and could only give up in disappointment. Back in the room, Qin Jiwei came over and said indignantly, "They are really a dog's mouth that can't spit out ivory. They were hiding behind you just now, but now they start to say bad things about you." I shrugged, not taking it seriously. "I'm not angry, so why should you be angry? Why make a big fuss when you can just say a few nice words to solve it? When you're in society, face is worthless." Qin Jiwei shook his head and smiled. "You have become a little mature." I patted his shoulder and said, "Of course, because I am your father." Qin Jiwei cursed, "Fuck," and sat back down to drink. The two male students in the private room finally grabbed the microphone and sang 10 years together. The familiar melody sounded, and an inexplicable emotion surged in my heart. Every bit of the past came to my mind, and it was all a joke. I picked up a bottle of beer and took a big sip. My head started to feel heavy. Suddenly, I realized that I couldn't drink much. I used to never drink, and my body wasn't used to it. After 2 bottles of beer, I felt dizzy. Damn it, I have to drink less next time. I rubbed my temples. My eyelids gradually became heavy. Not long after, I fell asleep on the sofa in a daze. Half an hour later, the door of the private room was pushed open, and Duan Qingjun walked in with Gu Mingyao and Lu Qian. The classmates cheered and greeted them, but Gu Mingyao smiled without saying a word. Her eyes searched everywhere, and finally stopped at me. I looked at her standing next to Duan Qingjun, showing a sweet smile, and suddenly a little irritated surge in my heart. Qin Jiwei saw her coming and quickly came to my side and pushed me. "Su Ming, wake up, Gu Mingyao is here." I squinted my eyes, forced them open, and saw Gu Mingyao standing not far away, smiling at me. Qin Jiwei thought I would get up and go over immediately, but I just lazily raised my hand and waved at the crowd, mumbling, change a batch." After that, I fell back on the sofa and ignored it. The whole audience was silent for a few seconds, and then someone couldn't help laughing. Gu Mingyao's smile froze on her face. She probably didn't expect that the scene she had designed for so long would end up like this. I closed my eyes, feeling extremely tired of this farce at the class reunion. "D10, you can do it. Go ahead." Everyone in the private room was stunned. "Change a batch. What does that mean?" Everyone looked confused. Qin Jiwei was anxious. He grabbed the cup on the coffee table and poured some cold water into my mouth. He reminded me again, Su Ming, Gu Mingyao is here. After drinking the cold water, I gradually regained consciousness, and the dizziness also dissipated a lot. I rubbed my eyes and looked up at Gu Mingyao. She was dressed very carefully today, with a light blue sailor suit and a short skirt, and white socks wrapped around her slender ankles. She looked innocent and playful. Who wouldn't be moved by such an outfit? However, when I looked into her eyes, a feeling of disgust, anger, and regret instantly came over me. I looked at Qin Jiwei and said coldly, I'm drunk. I'm going back to sleep. After saying that, I stood up shakily and left the room without looking back. The door slammed shut behind me, and at that moment, I clearly heard the sound of Gu Mingyao's self-esteem shattering. She stood there, staring blankly at the direction I left, her heart in turmoil. Su Ming, what happened to him? Does he really have no feelings for me anymore? She couldn't believe it and clenched her fist tightly. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Her best friend Lu Qian whispered in her ear, Don't worry, he must be jealous. Find a chance to explain it to him tomorrow. Jealous? Gu Mingyao said to herself. Yes, he must be feeling uncomfortable seeing me and Duan Qingjun together. Her complexion improved slightly, but she still couldn't hide her inner panic. Qin Jiwei was also confused as he watched me leave, thinking, what happened to Su Ming? He was so devoted to Gu Mingyao before. Why did he suddenly become so cold? The look of disdain he gave me just now was exactly the same as the one my mother gave me. Coming out of the KTV, the air instantly became much fresher. The cool breeze blew on my face, and I even felt a little chilly. I walked home along the street, and when I passed the lake, I suddenly heard the sound of a guitar coming from the front. I stopped and looked in the direction of the lake. After hesitating for a while, I finally decided to walk over. There was a girl sitting alone on a stone bench practicing guitar. She was playing Jay Chou's Calixiang, a song released 10 years ago. I sat down on a stone bench not far from her and listened to her playing quietly. The moonlight sprinkled on the lake, sparkling, and the lake water gently lapped the shore. At this moment, the noise in my ears has been left behind, and this kind of silence makes me feel unprecedented peace. I sat there for a few minutes, and suddenly I felt my stomach churning. I stood up suddenly and ran to the trash can nearby to vomit. The girl stopped playing, looked up at me, and then lowered her head to continue playing. After a while, I vomited all the dinner. I wiped my mouth staggeringly, thinking, I wasted $50 like this. I should have just stayed at home. I turned to look at the girl holding the guitar. She looked particularly pretty in the moonlight. She was about 17 or 18 years old, wearing a white two-piece shirt and loose jeans. Her long black hair was draped over her shoulders. Her face was cold, but also gentle. She ignored me and continued to play. I looked at her for a while and couldn't help but say, the tempo of the chorus is a bit fast, and the metronome could be practiced more, but the harmonics are great. After saying that, I suddenly felt a little regretful. After all, we didn't know each other. The girl's expression remained calm. She just frowned slightly, then handed the guitar to me, her eyes saying, If you can do it, go for it. I took the guitar and stood in front of her. When I got closer, I found that she stepped back a little, obviously keeping her distance. I smiled, walked back to the shore, hung the guitar on my body, recalled the music score, and began to play. The melodious prelude sounded, and I couldn't help but sing along with the guitar. The sparrows outside the window are chattering on the electric poles. You said this sentence, and it feels like summer. The girl looked at me with a hint of surprise in her eyes. I didn't look at her, but just immersed myself in this familiar melody. The stars, the moon, and the lake became the background of my singing. It seemed that at this moment, I really found myself. D11 Dong, little bad guy. Let me introduce myself. My name is Su Ming. I introduced myself as I played the last note and handed the guitar back to the girl. She didn't say anything, but just reached out to take the guitar. Just as I was about to say something, two shrill horns suddenly sounded from the roadside. The girl put the guitar on her back, stood up, and walked straight up the stairs. Watching her back disappear into the night, I shook my head and said to myself, she is so beautiful, but it's a pity that she is mute. She paused for a moment, a faint smile on her face, but she didn't look back and got on the business car waiting on the roadside. Watching her leave, I yawned and prepared to go home. The next day, I slept until around 9 o'clock, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw several messages from Gu Mingyao. Rose Maiden. Su Ming, did you misunderstand me? Rose Maiden. I was with Lu Qian the whole day yesterday, and I just met Duan Qingjun on the way. Rose Maiden. I heard that Wanda has opened a new video game arcade. Do you want to go there together this afternoon? The first two were sent last night, and the last one was sent this morning. I looked at the messages, thought for a moment, and replied, "You don't have to explain so much to me. I'm not free this afternoon, and I won't be free in the future." After I sent this message, Gu Mingyao didn't respond for a long time. When she finally saw my reply, tears welled up in her eyes. She stared at the screen of her mobile phone, feeling confused. Su Ming, is this really the same Su Ming as before? She sent a tentative message. Do you not like me anymore? I just replied with one word, yes. Seeing this cold answer, she could no longer hold back her tears. I closed the chat interface, opened the driving test handbook, and continued to practice the questions of Subject 1. In my previous life, I was already an experienced driver, so Subjects 2 and 3 were naturally no problem, but I still had to familiarize myself with the theoretical exams of Subjects 1 and 4 in advance. In the afternoon, I went to Yu Jin Music Pub. As soon as I entered the door, I heard Sister Nguyen calling me. Su Ming, go to the warehouse to help. The store has received a batch of wine and needs to be moved into the warehouse. I nodded and hurried to help. In the warehouse, Pei Yue and Zhou Ying were struggling to move beer, and I quickly stepped forward to take the boxes from them. Boss lady, let me do it. I easily carried boxes of beer into the warehouse. Pei Yue looked at me with an approving smile on her face. It seems that there must be a man in the store. This is called a man and a woman working together, and the work is not tiring. Zhou Ying smiled and said, but Su Ming is just a summer worker and will have to go back to school when the semester starts. Pei Yue asked me curiously, Su Ming, where are you going to college? The Demon City. I answered without hesitation. Magic City, it's pretty good. Pei Yue nodded. How was your college entrance examination score? It's okay, a second-tier university will be no problem, and I'll try to get into a first-tier university. I smiled confidently. Pei Yue joked. If I were 10 years younger, I might like a boy like you. Madam Boss. I can actually accept a relationship between an older woman and a younger man. I joked with her. Pei Yue laughed even more happily. You little rascal. Jiangzhou's most luxurious villa community, Hongye Villa. On the open-air balcony on the second floor of a villa, Chen Qingqing sat on a lazy chair, looking quietly into the distance. If I were there, I would definitely recognize her as the mute girl by the lake last night. The song 7 Miles of Fragrance was playing in her headphones, and the familiar melody reminded her of the boy who played and sang last night. Chen Qingqing couldn't help but wonder, how could a boy of about her age be so proficient in guitar? At this time, a woman who looked to be in her mid-30s, but was probably older, came over. She was Chen Qingqing's mother, Jiang Meilin, the vice president of a multinational company in China. Jiang Meilin asked softly, Qingqing, the college entrance examination results will be out this month. Do you want to go to the Zhongyang Conservatory of Music or the Modu Conservatory of Music? I haven't thought about it yet. Chen Qingqing replied indifferently, her voice as gentle as flowing water. Let's go to Beijing. My company's headquarters is there, and I go there on business trips often, Jiang Meilin suggested. Chen Qingqing didn't answer. She stretched, revealing a section of her snow-white wrist, and her slender toes slightly spread apart, as cute as a peach-flavored Wangzai QQ candy. Mom, my birthday is in a few days. What do you want for your birthday? I don't want anything. Chen Qingqing turned to look at her mother. I just want you to stay at home. Jiang Meilin was speechless for a moment. She knew it would be difficult for her to fulfill this wish. Seeing her mother's embarrassment, Chen Qingqing smiled and said, It's okay. I'm used to it. I'm sorry, Qingqing. Jiang Meilin apologized softly. Chen Qingqing stood up and replied coldly, No need. Then she turned and went back to the room, leaving Jiang Meilin standing there alone, the smile on her face gradually disappearing. D12 Zhang, it's you. Her room is large, and there is a special cloakroom, which is full of clothes and expensive bags bought by her mother Jiang Meilin. But those bags are just for show to me, and I never use them. The family is very wealthy. Her father Chen Hansong is the president of a bank with an annual salary of 7 figures, and her mother is the vice president of the Huaxia region of a multinational company with an even higher income. They are both workaholics, which is also the main reason for their divorce. I didn't talk much when I was a kid, and I talked even less after my parents divorced. I basically didn't go out, and naturally I didn't have any friends. In fact, I've long been accustomed to living alone. I like to sleep with the lights on, and a lit room gives me a sense of security. When I woke up, I was the only one left in the villa. On the dining table was a grilled steak and a glass of milk, as well as a sticky note left by my mother. I'm sorry, Ching Ching, I have to go on a business trip. Rushua will come to take care of you. Around 9 in the morning, my assistant Wang Rushua came. Seeing me practicing with my guitar, she quietly went to the kitchen to clean up and asked me, Ching Ching, what do you want to eat for lunch? All right, I responded casually. The day passed like this. As the sun set, I stared at the sunset for a long time and didn't go downstairs until it was completely dark. At the dinner table, Wang Rushua handed me a bank card. This is from your mother. There's money in it. You can buy whatever you want on your birthday. I didn't answer it. I just ate my meal quietly. Suddenly I said, Annie Wang, I want to go out to the lake tonight. Wang Rushua was stunned for a moment, remembering what happened last night, but didn't ask any more questions. Okay. Half an hour later, we drove to the lake. I sat quietly on the stone bench I had sat on yesterday, listening to the music and the sound of passers-by walking by my ears. After a long time, I took off my headphones, walked back to the car, and asked Wang Rushua, Annie Wang, is the beer good? You want to try it? But if you have any questions, you can call my mom. Wang Rushua hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. I know a pub. I know the proprietress there, not many people there. We arrived at Eugene Music Pub Pay. Yue greeted me warmly. Rushua, long time no see. Her eyes immediately fell on me, and she asked with a smile, Who is this? Su Ming behind me exclaimed, It's you. I didn't expect to meet him here, and he seemed a little surprised. Pei Yue looked at us and asked curiously, Do you know each other? I guess so. We met for the first time last night. Su Ming scratched his head, looking a little embarrassed. Pei Yue joked, It's fake. She asked me to sit down, and then said, Xiao Su, go get a bottle of beer. Su Ming quickly brought a bottle of beer and 2 cups. He put down the beer and asked me casually, Didn't you bring your guitar today? I nodded and didn't say anything more. Nothing. I'm just asking. Su Ming smiled, then turned to Pei Yue. Boss lady, I'm going to sing. Do you have red envelopes tonight? You're indispensable. Pei Yue patted his shoulder. Watching Su Ming walk towards the stage, I suddenly felt that this evening might be interesting. D13 Zhang, the prettier the girl, the more dangerous she is. Pei Yue and Wang Rushua were classmates in junior high school. Coincidentally, neither of them had developed in Jiangzhou City. 2 years ago, Pei Yue came back and opened this pub. About half a year later, he met Wang Rushua. The two had a good relationship in junior high school, and now they both work in Jiangzhou City, so they get together from time to time. Seeing Su Ming walking towards the microphone, Wang Rushua asked curiously, Yue, who is he? Su Ming, my summer intern in my store, is a very interesting little guy. Summer job? Chen Qingqing sat aside silently. She reached out for the beer, poured a little into the glass, then picked up the glass and drank it slowly. For people who don't drink, beer really doesn't taste good. Chen Qingqing took a sip and put the glass down. So awful to drink. How can anyone like to drink this? As soon as this question popped up in Chen Qingqing's mind, Pei Yue smiled and said, Is it not tasty? Chen Qingqing nodded. People who drink alcohol for the first time don't think it tastes good, but they become addicted as they drink. At this time, the sound of the accompaniment came from the speakers in the store. After listening for only 2 seconds, Chen Qingqing knew that the song was called Sunny Day, the little yellow flower of the story. I've been floating since I was born. Childhood swing. Following the memory until now. Pei Yue placed one hand on the table, and her fingers tapped the table rhythmically as Su Ming sang. She couldn't help but look back and smiled sweetly. Wang Rushua looked at Su Ming in surprise when she heard the song. This was a song she had often listened to in college. She had never expected that Su Ming, who was so young, could sing this song so affectionately. She was in a trance for a while, and suddenly realized something. She immediately came to her senses and looked at Chen Qingqing. Chen Qingqing lowered her head and looked at the beer on the table, as if everything around her had nothing to do with her. Wang Rushua also breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time she found herself a little funny. What am I nervous about? How could a girl like Qingqing fall in love with someone so easily? Wang Rushua smiled, took the wine glass, and asked Zhou to help pour a cup of hot water. She couldn't drink because she had to drive Chen Qingqing home later. Su Ming sang J.J. Lin's Jiangnan and Drunk at Chibi, and then sang Wang Liham's Big City, Small Love, and Fallen Leaves Return to Their Roots. He doesn't remember many songs from before 2014, Most of them are well-known hits. After singing several songs in a row, Su Ming felt a little dry in the mouth. So he stood up and walked to the counter to get a glass of water. When Pei Yue saw this, she pointed at the beer on the table and said, "Xiao Su, drink this." Su Ming asked, "Isn't this what the aunt ordered just now? She doesn't drink it, so don't waste it." Su Ming stepped forward, picked up the cup on the table without any hesitation, poured half a cup of beer into it, and drank it in one gulp. The three people sitting next to them were all stunned, because the cup in Su Ming's hand was the one that Chun Qingqing had just used. Chun Qingqing's ears, which were hidden by her hair, turned slightly red. Wang Ruxue just opened her mouth to remind her when Chun Qingqing suddenly stood up and walked towards the bathroom. Seeing this scene, Wang Ruxue swallowed back the words that were about to come out of her mouth. 2. I've already drunk it, and talking about it now will only make it more awkward. Why is this boy so abrupt? Pei Yue was stunned for a moment, then pulled Su Ming aside and asked in a low voice, "How is this girl? Is she pretty?" "It's pretty, but it's a pity that he's dumb." Wang Ruxue, who was standing nearby, almost spit out the water she had just drunk when she heard this. "Mute? Who told you she was mute?" Su Ming was still talking to himself. So God is fair. When he opened a door, he didn't forget to close the window. After listening to this, Pei Yue looked at Wang Ruxue with some curiosity. Wang Ruxue said speechlessly, "She just doesn't talk much." Su Ming was surprised and asked, "She can talk?" Wang Ruxue didn't respond. Her eyes seemed to say, "Nonsense." Chun Qingqing went and came back and saw Su Ming staring at her, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. When she was in school, no boy dared to look Chun Qingqing in the eye due to her cold personality. She was born with a kind of cold aura of a rich lady that made people afraid to approach her casually. But Su Ming is an exception. This guy had already offended me last night. "Can you speak?" Chun Qingqing was stunned for a moment, and after realizing that Wang Ruxue had accidentally exposed her, she turned around and said neatly, "Annie Wang, let's go back." "Okay, the car is parked in front. I'll drive over. You wait at the door for a while." Su Ming didn't want to make things difficult for himself. Having fallen into trouble with Gu Mingyao, he had already understood one thing. The more beautiful a girl is, the more dangerous she is. Su Ming was just about to go back and continue singing. Pei Yue stood up and put her hand on Su Ming's shoulder, saying with a smile, "Xiao Su, please see me off. It's just a few steps away. Go quickly." "All right." Su Ming walked forward and opened the glass door. Chun Qingqing stopped for a moment and walked out. Su Ming followed her and said with a dry cough, "Don't go out at night anymore. There are many bad people." Chun Qingqing stopped under the street light and responded to Su Ming for the first time. "Are you talking about yourself?" "What do you mean?" "Just now and there you kept looking at my legs, and you knew that the cup was used by me, but you still—" Su Ming hurriedly explained, "I admit that I looked at your legs, but I didn't know you used the cup." Su Ming felt insulted, but he was powerless to refute. What's wrong with a normal boy looking at a pretty girl a few more times? Is it illegal? Wang Ruxue parked her car on the side of the road. Chun Qingqing raised her legs and sat down. Seeing the car driving away, Su Ming also walked back to the store. In the car, Chun Qingqing looked at Su Ming's back through the car window, and a rare smile appeared on her usually cold face. What an idiot. It was revealed as soon as he cheated. "Xiao Su. Didn't you add me on WeChat?" "No." Pei Yue said angrily. "Xiao Su, what's wrong with you? I gave you the chance, but you didn't use it. Boss lady, please stop trying to matchmake. Can't you see that she kind of dislikes me? What does she dislike about you? You think I'm lecherous, saying I was staring at her legs. As God knows, I looked at her legs a few more times." Haha. Pei Yue was so happy that her chest was shaking. Su Ming was rather thick-skinned. But speaking of reason, what good can a man be without lust? How are you? Chapter 14 Birthday. Sleep, do exercises, and watch the stock market during the day. I worked in a bar during the summer vacation at night. Su Ming's life became regular. In addition to these, he also began to pay attention to exercise. Every time he went to work, he would choose to leave home half an hour earlier and then run there. After work in the evening, he would still run home. In his previous life, Su Ming ruined his body in order to make money. Few 18-year-old boys understand the truth that the body is the capital of revolution, but Su Ming is different. Today is the weekend. Lao Su and Zhang Hong were both resting at home. During lunch, Zhang Hong finally showed concern for Su Ming's work. "What exactly is that summer job you found for?" Why does he come home so late every day? Su Ming was eating and said casually, "Didn't we talk about the service industry? Be more specific. Be a male model in a bar." Zhang Hong put down her chopsticks and immediately said, "I spent so much money to send you to school, and you go to work in a place like this. I raised you in vain. Don't call me mom from now on." Su Ming lied without blushing or beating his heart. 8,000 a month. Zhang Hong's tone immediately changed. Then again, good jobs are not divided into high and low, and everyone earns money with their own hands, so it's not shameful. By the way, can your dad go? Lao Su almost spit out his food. He wiped his mouth and said speechlessly, "I wonder if you two mother and son can talk properly." Su Ming took a tissue and wiped his mouth and said, "Actually, I'm just a waiter in a pub. A pub is different from a bar. People who go there are decent people, and the lady boss is also very nice to me. How long do you plan to do this? It's not tiring, so just do it for now. I'm just sitting around doing nothing anyway." Su Ming returned to his room and started picking out clothes from the closet. Not long after, he poked his head out of the room and said, "Mom, can you buy me bigger clothes next time? Didn't you ask me to buy something tighter? I'll buy oversized ones from now on." "Alice's? It's just a little looser." Zhang Hong smiled and said, "You are an adult now. You should buy your own clothes from now on." Su Ming tried on 2 pairs of trousers and found that they were both skinny. His legs looked like bamboo poles after wearing them. He finally took them off and changed into a pair of jeans that were washed white. Then I took the subject 1 test twice in the room. First time, 87 points. Second time, 91 points. Su Ming felt that if he waited a few more days, passing subject 1 should not be a problem. There is no rush about driving license. There is still more than 2 months left in summer vacation. For the time-consuming subjects 2 and 3, you should be able to take the test after practicing for 2 days. This afternoon, Su Ming has more important things to do. He is going to the bank to apply for a card and open a stock account at the same time. A little after 2 o'clock, Su Ming went out and rode a shared bicycle to the bank. Red Leaf Villa. "Annie Wong, I want to go out for a while." "Now? Where are you going?" Chun Qingqing found a pair of probably the most common white Converse shoes from the wall full of shoe cabinets, and then sat on the chair next to her, changing her shoes while saying, "I'm going to find my dad first, and then maybe go buy something." Chun Qingqing seldom goes out shopping because everything is available at home. So when Wang Rushua heard that Chun Qingqing was going out to buy something, she realized that today was Chun Qingqing's birthday. Remembering what Jiang Meilin had told her, she quickly put down the work in her hands, picked up the car keys, and prepared to go out. "It's the weekend. Will your dad be at the bank?" "Yes," Chun Qingqing said calmly. "He always spends more time in the bank than at home." Wang Rushue heard a hint of complaint in Chun Qingqing's tone, but she didn't respond. About 20 minutes. The car stopped in front of China Merchants Bank. Before getting off the car, Chun Qingqing said to Wang Rushue, "I can get up by myself." So Wang Rushue did not get off with her. Chun Qingqing pushed open the heavy glass door of the bank, glanced at the lobby, and then walked up the stairs to the door of the bank president's office upstairs. In the office, Chen Han-song was standing in front of the window with his back to the door, talking on the phone to the head of the finance department of a large enterprise. When Chun Qingqing pushed the door in, his brows furrowed a little. Okay, no problem, let's do this for now." After Chen Han-song finished speaking, his smiling face immediately became serious. "Who told you to come in without knocking?" Chen Han-song choked up when he saw that the person standing at the door was not someone else, but his own daughter. "Qingqing." Chen Han-song walked forward with a smile. "Why are you here?" As he spoke, he raised his hand to touch Chun Qingqing's head, but Chun Qingqing took a step back and dodged it. Chen Han-song withdrew his hand in embarrassment. Like Jiang Meilin, neither of them felt that they owed the other anything in the matter of divorce. The only person they owed was their own daughter. "I heard from your mother that you still plan to go to art school?" I know you've always liked music, but if you study this now, it will be hard to find a good job in the future. Have you ever considered studying abroad? The United States, Singapore, Japan? Dad can find a way to send you abroad." Chun Qingqing said coldly. "Do you think that my staying in the country will affect your search for another woman?" "Qingqing, I've told you many times that the reason your mother and I divorced was because of work, not because of anything else. What do you want to see Daddy today? Are you free tonight?" "Night." Chen Han-song thought for a moment and sighed. "Dad has an appointment with an important client tonight. Just say you're busy next time." Chun Qingqing seemed to have anticipated this sentence. Her tone was emotionless, as if she was talking to a stranger. Chen Hansong noticed something was wrong and grabbed Chen Qingqing, who was about to leave. Chen Qingqing excitedly shook off his hand and shouted, "Don't touch me. In your eyes, I am not as important as you, a client. Have you forgotten what day it is today?" After Chen Qingqing finished speaking, she ran out with red eyes. "What day is today?" "Today? Oh no, it's Qingqing's birthday." After Chen Hansong thought of this, he hurriedly chased after him. Su Ming, who had just opened a stock account, was about to leave the bank when he bumped into Chen Qingqing, who was running down the stairs. Su Ming saw Chen Qingqing's face clearly. He subconsciously shouted, "It's you again." Within a week, this is the third time we have encountered each other. Chen Qingqing heard footsteps behind her. She knew that Chen Hansong had followed her down. After seeing Su Ming, she grabbed Su Ming's hand and warned him in a low voice, "Don't talk." Su Ming stood there in a daze. "No, what's going on? Is this little hand so soft when I hold it?" Chen Hansong stopped at the corner of the first floor. He saw Su Ming, Chen Qingqing, and their hands holding each other. Chen Hansong suddenly became nervous. With a gloomy face, he walked down and asked coldly, "Who is he?" "My boyfriend." Chapter 15. The boy's name is Su Ming. Su Ming and Chen Hansong were both dumbfounded. Boyfriend? Su Ming's heart was pounding. Chen Hansong's face turned green. Looking at his daughter and Su Ming holding hands, he felt as if a wild boar had suddenly broken into his back garden and, right in front of him, forcibly knocked over a cabbage that he had been caring for more than 10 years. "What boyfriend? Does your mother know?" "Of course she doesn't know." Chen Qingqing grabbed Su Ming's hand and forcibly pulled Su Ming towards the door, deliberately saying, "Let's go." Su Ming was dragged out of the bank. Wang Rushue in the car was also confused. Why are they together again? Maybe they have run into each other too many times in the past few days. The key is, why are they still holding hands? "No, what boyfriend? Did you get my consent?" Su Ming became anxious. Chen Qingqing opened the car door and said in an imperative tone, "Get in the car." "Where are you going?" "Get in the car? Let's go ahead." Su Ming finally compromised and got into the car obediently. Chen Qingqing also got in. Through the car window, she saw Chen Hansong standing at the door in a daze. Chen Qingqing felt a little proud. "Qingqing, what are you doing?" "Annie Wang, let's go to the mall." Wang Rushua looked at Chen Hansong with some concern, but still stepped on the accelerator and left the bank. Su Ming took the initiative to ask, "Was that your dad just now?" Chen Qingqing, "It has nothing to do with you." "Haha, it has nothing to do with me. Then why did you say I was your boyfriend?" "That's me." "What is that? Did you get my consent?" Chen Qingqing took a deep breath and her voice became calm again. "So what do you want?" Su Ming thought for a moment and said, "You owe me a favor." "You are so shameless." "Whatever you say." Su Ming took out his phone, opened the WeChat QR code, and handed it to Chen Qingqing. "Add WeChat first." Chen Qingqing took out her latest iPhone 5S and added Su Ming as a friend on WeChat. "By the way, I still don't know your name?" "Chen Qingqing." "President, that girl just now was your daughter?" The bank's account manager walked up to Chen Hansong. Chen Hansong was in a bad mood and just hummed, "Who is that boy?" "I don't know him. He might be my daughter's classmate." Chen Hansong would certainly not admit that Su Ming was his daughter's boyfriend. The account manager quickly said, "He just applied for a card at our bank and opened a securities account." "Securities account?" Su Ming looked to be about 17 or 18 years old, so it was normal for him to apply for a bank card. But why did he open a securities account? Was he trading stocks? "Send his information to my office." "Clear." Chen Hansong returned to his office. Not long after, the account manager brought him the information that Su Ming had left when he applied for the card. Su Ming, 18 years old. Chen Hansong took out his cell phone and called Jiang Meilin. Jiang Meilin, who was in a meeting, didn't want to answer the call at first, but then she thought it might be related to her daughter, so she answered it anyway. "Jiang Meilin, is your daughter's love affair true or false?" "Dating?" "Chen Hansong, what are you talking about? Just now my daughter came to the bank to find me, and then she held hands with a boy in front of me. She told me that he was her boyfriend." Jiang Meilin frowned. As a mother, she knows her daughter very well. Let alone falling in love, there are probably not many boys who can catch her eye. "I don't know about that." "That boy's name is Su Ming." Jiang Meilin asked, "What does she look like?" Chen Hansong was stunned. "Jiang Meilin, what are you thinking about? Does his appearance have anything to do with this matter?" Jiang Meilin didn't want to talk to Chen Hansong anymore, so she said bluntly, "I'll call Rushue and ask her." "Hang up the phone." Zhang Meilin found Wang Rushue's number in the address book and called her. Wang Rushue was waiting for the traffic light. She answered the phone and turned on the speakerphone. Hey, Rushue. Mr. Jiang. Let me ask you something. Qingqing's dad just said that Qingqing has a boyfriend. What's going on? In this situation, Wang Rushue didn't know how to answer. Chun Qingqing said directly. He is next to me now. Do you want to say hello to him? After Chun Qingqing finished speaking, she gave Su Ming a look. Zhang Meilin also fell silent when she heard her daughter's voice. The strange atmosphere in the car made Su Ming feel a little numb on his scalp. He swallowed his saliva and said hello with difficulty. Hello, Auntie. Beep, beep, beep. The call was hung up directly. Su Ming was confused and said, When I saw your father's eyes just now, I felt a murderous intent. Why is your mother like this too? If I meet them face to face, they won't kill me, right? When Chun Qingqing heard this, she actually laughed. Su Ming was stunned for a moment when he looked at her exquisite profile and the shallow dimples at the corners of her mouth. They met 3 times in total, and this was the first time Su Ming saw Chun Qingqing smile. Su Ming inexplicably felt a little hot in the car, and his blood was burning. We're at the mall. Chun Qingqing opened the car door and got out first. Seeing Su Ming sitting in the car motionless, she said with disdain, Get out. Do what? Chun Qingqing didn't say anything, just kept staring at Su Ming. Su Ming finally got out of the car. The two entered the mall together. After Wang Rushue saw the 2 people walking away, she quickly called Zhang Meilin back. Su Ming followed behind Chun Qingqing and suddenly asked tentatively, Are your parents divorced? Chun Qingqing stopped in her tracks, and Su Ming almost bumped into her back. I don't mean anything else. This is just my guess. How do you surmise that? Su Ming said, When we first met by the lake, every time I approached you, you would subconsciously step back, including just now. It was obviously you who held my hand, but your palms were full of sweat. This shows that you are a very defensive person. You probably lack love and care. Combined with your attitude when you just talk to your parents, this is easy to guess. You'd be wasting your talent if you didn't become a detective. You asked me to pretend to be your boyfriend because you wanted to piss off your parents. Now that your goal has been achieved, what else do you want me to do? Chun Qingqing pursed her lips and whispered, Today is my birthday. I understand. Today is your birthday, and your parents don't have time to spend with you. So what you did is a bit like revenge on them. Do you need me to help you complete this scene? Need. Then let's go watch a movie, have dinner after the movie, and then take a couple of photos and post them on WeChat Moments. I guess your parents will torture you when you get home tonight. Heh. But let's make it clear in advance that you have to pay for the movies and meals. Chun Qingqing turned her head and asked curiously, Have you always been so shameless? Not really. I've only become thicker-skinned recently. I don't believe it. Believe it or not. Chapter 16 Group Photo. Mid-June. It hasn't entered the summer season yet. There are not many movies showing in the cinemas. The only famous ones are Overheard and Godzilla and a horror movie called Combing Hair at Midnight. However, domestic horror movies have always been considered bad movies in the eyes of the audience, and few people will go to see them. What movie? Godzilla, right? Chun Qingqing silently bought the ticket with her mobile phone, hesitated for a moment, and ordered an extra cup of Coke and a portion of popcorn. The two took the elevator to the top floor. After picking up the tickets, Chun Qingqing asked Su Ming to go to the front desk to get Coke and popcorn. Su Ming walked up to Chun Qingqing and asked, You only bought one? You are too stingy. Chun Qingqing looked at Su Ming as if he were an idiot. She explained impatiently, I bought it for you. I don't drink carbonated drinks or eat junk food. Yes, you are a fairy who has descended to Earth, and you don't care about worldly things. Chun Qingqing didn't bother to pay attention to Su Ming. The two of them waited outside for 5 or 6 minutes. After the cinema started checking tickets, the two of them entered the theater. Chun Qingqing remembered very clearly that the last time she went to the cinema was 3 years ago, when her parents had not yet divorced. It was also the last time the family watched a movie together. After that, Chun Qingqing never came to the cinema again. Su Ming was eating popcorn and drinking Coke. Seeing Chun Qingqing staring blankly at the screen, he reminded her, Why are you standing there? Aren't you supposed to be taking a photo? Chun Qingqing came back to her senses, took out her cell phone, and took a photo of the big screen. What's the point of taking this photo? What are you shooting? Take a photo? Don't you want your parents to see it? Chun Qingqing was a little hesitant. Su Ming said, If you don't want to shoot, forget it. I was busy in the bar until midnight last night, and went to bed in the early morning. I was planning to go back for a nap in the afternoon, but you brought me here for no apparent reason. To be honest, I've seen this movie a long time ago. Don't think I'm happy to sit here with you. Su Ming did not lie. Although this movie was only released recently, Su Ming had indeed seen it, and more than once. Seeing Su Ming's indifferent look, Chen Qingqing turned her phone to the front camera and moved it between their seats. Su Ming also leaned forward. When Su Ming approached, Chen Qingqing almost instinctively stepped back a little. No, what are you afraid of? You're so far away. Can this phone capture you? This can't be blamed on Chen Qingqing. She had never had such close contact with anyone before and was actually very nervous at the moment, but she still mustered up her courage and put her head within the range of the camera. When their heads were about to touch each other, Su Ming made a funny expression, and Chen Qingqing also forced a smile at this time and pressed the shutter. Crack! After the group photo was taken, Chen Qingqing immediately sat up straight. Su Ming also sat down and watched the movie obediently, but he remembered the plot of the movie. After watching for a while, he felt drowsy, and then he fell asleep on the chair with his head tilted. Chen Qingqing had no interest in this type of movie. After taking the group photo, her heart was pounding. When she saw Su Ming fell asleep, she carefully took out her cell phone and took a look at the group photo she had just taken. On the screen, the two heads are on the left and right with even proportions, and they look very in sync. When Chen Qingqing realized that she had been staring at the photo for a long time, she immediately glanced at Su Ming subconsciously and found that Su Ming was still sleeping. She breathed a sigh of relief, opened WeChat Moments, and uploaded the photo. Chen Qingqing did not block her friends because she had very few WeChat friends. Except for Wang Ruxue, the others were basically relatives. When the photo was posted to the circle of friends, Chen Qingqing was actually a little excited. At this moment, she could even imagine the expressions of her parents when they saw this photo: shock, surprise, confusion, and nervousness. Just as Chen Qingqing expected. As soon as she posted this circle of friends, Jiang Meilin saw it. She nervously clicked on the photo and enlarged it. When she saw the photo of Su Ming and Chen Qingqing with their heads tilted, she called Chen Qingqing directly. Hello, the number you dialed is currently unanswered. Please call again later. Hello, the number you dialed is temporarily. Jiang Meilin became anxious. She hurriedly called her assistant over. Mr. Jiang, you still have to meet with. I'll come back tomorrow. Go buy me a ticket now. Good. The other side. Chen Hansong in the bank office had been looking at the photo for a full 10 minutes. Chen Hansong knows his daughter very well. She has been a talkative child since she was young. Just as Su Ming said, she lacked love and care since she was young, which made her like a hedgehog. She is extremely defensive and has never had any friends, let alone friends of the opposite sex. Looking at the smiling face of my daughter in the photo, and the wild boar eating the cabbage next to her, Chen Hansong's heart was broken. Where the hell did this idiot come from? Chen Hansong couldn't sit still anymore. He took the information Su Ming left in the bank and called Su Ming directly. The reason why he didn't call his daughter was because Chen Hansong knew that his daughter would definitely not answer the call. In the cinema, the cell phone suddenly rang with vibration. Su Ming woke up suddenly and quickly took out his mobile phone from his pocket. Seeing the number without a note, Su Ming was about to answer it. Chen Qingqing next to him ordered, "Hang up." "Ah, I'll let you hang up." Su Ming listened to her, hung up the phone, and then looked at her with a puzzled expression. Chen Qingqing explained, "That's my dad's number. If he calls you in the future, don't answer it." "How did your dad get my phone number? What are you doing at the bank this afternoon?" "Apply for a card." Su Ming came to his senses and said in surprise, "Is your father a bank employee?" Chen Qingqing said, "He is the president." President? Su Ming became very emotional at that time. She guessed that Chen Qingqing's family was well off, but she didn't expect that her father was the president of a bank. Su Ming relaxed for a long time and suddenly became happy again. Chen Qingqing looked at Su Ming's smiling face and asked curiously, "What are you laughing at?" "I was wondering, will your father ask me out alone later and say to me, 'I'll give you 1 million. Stay away from my daughter from now on'?" Chen Qingqing turned her head and said with a smile, "You are dreaming. Why don't you ask me if I will agree? Will you agree to it?" "Of course I will. Don't mention 1 million. Give me 10,000, and I'll listen to your father." Asshole. Chapter 17. It's fair. After watching the movie, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Su Ming rubbed his stomach. He had eaten a whole bucket of popcorn and Coke by himself, and his stomach was still a little bloated. That photo just now should be enough, right? "If everything is fine, I'll go back first," Chen Qingqing said. "Didn't you say you still need to eat?" "I'm full. I can't eat any more." Chen Qingqing tucked a strand of long hair behind her ear. After coming out of the theater, The temperature outside made her feel a little hot. She took out a black hair tie from her pocket, bit it in her mouth, and tied her hair up skillfully. She wore a cream-colored sweatshirt today, black pants, and a pair of white Converse. With her hair tied up in a high ponytail, she looked graceful and beautiful. Su-Ming watched the whole process of her tying her hair intently. Feeling a little guilty, he took the initiative to bring up the topic and asked, Chun Ching, how old are you? 18. You just finished the college entrance examination? Su-Ming smiled and asked, which city are you going to go to college in? Su-Ming warily and did not answer. Su-Ming felt a little speechless. He shrugged and said, if you don't want to say it, forget it. I'm just asking casually. What about you? Which city are you going to? Devil's City. Hearing this, Chun Ching was silent for a while. He only considered two schools. One was the Shanghai Conservatory of Music, and the other was the Zhongyang Conservatory of Music. She was more inclined towards the Shanghai Conservatory of Music. She had lived in the South since she was a child, and was afraid that she would not be able to get used to the North. You brought me here. Can you ask your Aunt Wang to take me back? Chun Ching nodded gently. I'll go to the bathroom first. Su-Ming put his hands in his pockets and looked around. He saw several claw machines placed against the wall. He hesitated for a moment and stepped forward to exchange some game coins. This kind of claw machine requires skill. It just so happened that Su-Ming had grabbed dolls countless times in his previous life to make Gu Mingyao happy, so it didn't take him long to grab a Doraemon from the claw machine. After Chun Ching came out of the bathroom, Su-Ming handed the blue fat man in his hand to her. Chun Ching looked at the doll in Su-Ming's hand, then raised her head and looked at Su-Ming with a puzzled look. Su-Ming smiled and said, just think of it as my birthday present to you. Chun Ching has received many expensive birthday gifts, some from her parents and some from her parents' colleagues, but Chun Ching accepted them all without any psychological burden. But now, she was a little hesitant. Su-Ming said helplessly, forget it, forget it. Su-Ming was about to retract his hand. Chun Ching reached out and quickly snatched the doll away. I'm inviting you to the movies, and you're giving me the doll. This is fair. The two left them all side by side. Not long after Chun Ching sent a message to Wang Rushue, the car stopped in front of them. Annie Wang, please send him back first. Wang Rushue turned around and asked, your name is Su-Ming, right? Where do you live? Su-Ming smiled and said, just send me to the pub. I have to go to work tonight. Sorry for the trouble. Half an hour later, Su-Ming got out of the car at the door of the pub, and Wang Rushue did not stop and drove back to Hongye Villa. Your mother just called me. She will be rushing home in the evening. Seeing that Chun Ching didn't say anything, Wang Rushue added, your father may come over tonight as well. Hearing this, Chun Ching smiled and smiled happily. She didn't expect that the photo would be so effective that it could make her parents, who valued work more than family, drop everything and rush back home. Chun Ching placed Doraemon on her lap, then opened her phone and found the photo that she had posted to her moments. She thought for a moment, clicked on the photo settings, and selected Set as wallpaper. Returned to the mobile desktop. The default wallpaper on her phone was changed to a photo of her and Su-Ming. After dark, the sound of a car stopping was heard in the yard. Chun Ching knew that it was her mother who had returned. She lay on the sofa motionless. Jiang Meilin got out of the car, opened the passenger door, picked up an exquisite black forest cake in her hand, and walked into the living room. Kun. Seeing Chun Ching lying on the sofa playing with her phone, Jiang Meilin gently placed the cake on the coffee table, then carefully sat down at Chun Ching's feet. She patiently asked, Ching, Mom wants to ask you, who is that Su-Ming? Didn't I say he's my boyfriend? Don't lie to Mom. I know you said that to your dad because you blamed him for not having time to celebrate your birthday with you. You deliberately pissed him off, so? Chun Ching raised the Doraemon in her hand and said, you think too much. We have confirmed our relationship. We watched a movie together this afternoon and also went to catch dolls together. Here, this is what he gave me. Jiang Meilin looked up at Wang Rushue, and when she saw Wang Rushue nod, her face looked a little ugly. Do you have to piss me off like this? Jiang Meilin stood up and said emotionally, yes, your father and I did not fulfill our responsibilities as parents, but we did not treat you badly in terms of material things. If I don't work, can you live in such a big house? If I don't work, what do you eat and drink every day? Chun Ching also sat up from the sofa, her eyes reddened. Yes, you are all for me. It's all my fault. If you hadn't given birth to me, there wouldn't be so many things. After saying this, Chun Ching ran upstairs. Ching. Jiang Meilin watched her daughter wiping her tears and going upstairs. and she immediately regretted her decision. Not long after, Chen Hansong also drove home. As soon as he came in, he couldn't wait to ask, "Where's Ching Ching?" "It's all your fault. You even forgot your own daughter's birthday. Are you still human?" "I just didn't think of it for a moment," Chen Hansong quickly retorted. "How dare you say that to me? You clearly knew that today was Ching Ching's birthday, but you still left her alone at home." "Yes, it's all my fault. You, as a father, have no responsibility at all." "Zhang Meilin, I don't want to argue with you today. Where's Ching Ching? I want to go talk to her." Zhang Meilin turned sideways and picked up the doll on the sofa, choking up and saying, "She probably doesn't want to see you or me now." "Have you asked clearly? What is the relationship between Su Ming and our Ching Ching?" Zhang Meilin picked up the phone that Chen Qingqing had left downstairs, turned on the screen, held it in her hand, and said, "She has already set the photo as wallpaper." "What do we do now?" Zhang Meilin sniffed, stood up, and said, "I'll go upstairs and ask Qingqing to come down for cake. Don't say anything later. As for the matter between him and Su Ming, I will find time to talk to him directly. You know your daughter's personality. We can't get the answer from her." Chen Hansong was silent. Chapter 18, Are They in Love? Su Ming regretted it. Popcorn and Coke don't satisfy your hunger at all. He had been in the store for less than 2 hours when he felt his stomach growling. He leaned on the counter, took out his phone, and sent a message to Chen Qingqing. "I regret not asking you to treat me to dinner in the evening. I'm extremely hungry now." Chen Qingqing, who was eating cake with Chen Hansong and Zhang Meilin, heard her cell phone ringing. She guessed that it was probably a message from Su Ming. In front of the two of them, she deliberately unlocked her phone and replied to Su Ming. "You deserve it." Su Ming replied angrily. "Your boyfriend is hungry." Chen Qingqing's pretty face turned red. "Shut up." When Chen Hansong saw the little expression on his daughter's face, his eyes almost popped out of his sockets. He had already imagined the chat records between Su Ming and Chen Qingqing. 250. "Baby, are you home?" "Baby girl, I'm eating cake." 250. "I'm hungry too." "Baby girl, do you want to eat too?" 250. "I don't want to eat cake." 250. "I want to eat you." Chen Hansong's scalp felt numb. Chen Qingqing typed back quickly, "Believe it or not, I will block you right now." Su Ming, "Forget it, there are guests coming. I won't chat with you anymore." The conversation between the two came to an end. Seeing Chen Qingqing put down her phone, Chen Hansong breathed a sigh of relief for some reason. Zhang Meilin saw that half of the cake on the table was still unfinished, so she said to Wang Rushua, "Rushua, take this cake back and eat it." Wang Rushua said a little embarrassedly, "Boss Zhang, I'm trying to lose weight recently. I'm afraid that if I eat something so sweet at night, on Sivong." Chen Qingqing suddenly interrupted. "Then can you help me deliver the remaining cakes to the pub we went to last time?" Chen Hansong and Zhang Meilin were confused. Wang Rushua was surprised and asked, "Do you want me to give it to Su Ming?" "Right." After hearing this, Chen Hansong stood up from the sofa. He raised his belt and said with a heavy face, "I'm going to the bathroom." Zhang Meilin looked at Chen Qingqing and finally nodded to Wang Rushua. Wang Rushua wrapped the cake and drove to the pub. Around 10 o'clock, Wang Rushua walked into the pub carrying a cake. Pei Yue was very surprised to see Wang Rushua coming, because she only came once in a while before. "Rushua, it seems you are not busy recently?" Wang Rushua shook her head and smiled bitterly. "I came here with a mission. Task. Where is Su Ming?" "That boy was here just now." Zhang Xiaowan next to her reminded. "Madam Boss, he just went into the bathroom." Pei Yue asked curiously, "Do you have something to do with him?" Wang Rushua nodded, picked up the cake in her hand, and said, "Qingqing asked me to give this cake to him." Pei Yue was stunned at that time. Women will always be interested in gossip, no matter if they are 18, 28, or 38. She walked out of the counter quickly and asked curiously, "Are they in love?" "It's a complicated situation." Wang Rushua was about to explain when she saw Su Ming coming out of the bathroom. She stepped forward and handed him the cake in her hand. Su Ming was a little confused. "What is this?" Wang Rushua said succinctly, "Qingqing asked me to give it to you." "Ah!" Su Ming really didn't expect this. He reached out to take the cake, and a smile soon appeared on his confused face. She has a conscience. Wang Rushua wanted to ask a few more questions, but she held back. "It's not convenient for me to take care of this kind of thing. Anyway, President Jiang already knows about it, and she will handle it." Thinking of this, Wang Rushua said hello to Pei Yue and turned away. Su Ming walked to the counter carrying the cake and saw that it was a black forest cake. Having never eaten such an expensive cake before, He quickly cut himself a big piece and prepared to fill his stomach first. He was about to open his mouth when he looked up and found 3 pairs of eyes staring at him. "What are you doing? Tell me the truth. What's going on?" Su Ming was confused. "What's going on? Cake. Didn't you say that dating is boring? Why did Chun Ching Ching give you a cake?" "It's a long story." "Then let's make it short." Su Ming sighed and explained. "I did her a favor, and she owed me one. I just sent you a message saying that I was hungry, and then she asked Aunt Wong to send a cake to me. What's the matter?" "This is kept secret for now." Pei Yue clicked her tongue repeatedly. Her eyes seemed to be saying, "Look at all the dirty things you have done." Su Ming, who was already dizzy with hunger, didn't explain anymore. He picked up the fork and started to wolf down the food. After eating 2 pieces of cake, I finally felt alive. "There's a little left. Do you want some?" Zhou snorted and crossed her arms over her chest. "This is a love dinner for someone. I won't eat it." "That is..." Su Ming slapped his head and said, "That's enough." 11:20. After work, Su Ming ran all the way home. By the time he finished taking a shower and lay down on the bed, it was already past 12 o'clock. Although he was tired after a long day, Su Ming did not go to bed directly. He first downloaded a stock software, and after a series of operations including registration, logging in, real name authentication, and card binding, he finally had a stock account of his own. He transferred all the money he had on him into a stock account, exactly 900 yuan in total. 500 yuan of it was pocket money given by his mother. When Su Ming applied for the bank card in the afternoon, he had already deposited the cash into the bank card. The other 400 yuan was the money in the red envelope that Pei Yue transferred to herself. Although it is small, it is a start. Su Ming has decided that except for the necessary living expenses, all other money should be temporarily deposited into the stock account. The current A-share market is just over 2,000 points, which is still a long way from 5,000 points. This also means that for Su Ming, he has unlimited possibilities in the stock market in the coming year. Which stock should I buy first with this money? The Belt and Road Initiative was proposed in September and October last year. After this policy came out, many sectors related to it should grow. Su Ming flipped through it casually and finally chose a stock in the trading sector with a current price of more than 3 yuan. He put all the 900 yuan he had into buying it. After doing all this, Su Ming put his mobile phone on the bedside to charge, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. It was around 10 o'clock the next morning. This stone man is so stupid. He missed his ultimates several times. Damn it, if I had known you were so bad, I would not have chosen Yasuo. Qin Jiwei sat in front of the computer with his bare chest, typing away on the keyboard and swearing at the top laner stone man. The top laner stoneman didn't tolerate him either, and the two of them started arguing with each other on the public screen. The game surrendered exactly 20 minutes into the game. Come out and take a look. Stoneman record, 293. Yasuo record, 175. The two men were equally matched. Just when Qin Jiwei was so angry that he wanted to find Stone Man for a solo, the QQ icon in the lower right corner of the computer jumped. It turned out to be sent by Gu Mingyao. Rosin Maiden, are you there? Chapter 19, do you like reading comics too? Qin Jiwei was a little excited. This was the first time someone of the opposite sex approached him to chat after the college entrance examination. No one knows how Qin Jiwei has survived the past 18 years. Not to mention falling in love. He has never even touched a girl's hand. You all probably know this feeling. Autistic person? Autistic person. What's up? Rose Maiden. Do you have time this afternoon? I want to talk to you. Autistic person. Looking for me? Are you sure? Rosin Maiden. Yeah. Autistic patient. Are you sure you don't want me to be called Su Ming? Rosin Maiden. I'll wait for you at the milk tea shop in front of the school at 3 p.m. Autistic person. Okay. Seeing that Gu Mingyao did not reply to the message, Qin Jiwei hesitated whether to tell Su Ming about this matter, but finally chose not to say for the time being. He felt that Gu Mingyao's sudden request to ask him out must have something to do with Su Ming. As for what we're going to talk about, we will know in the afternoon. It's still early, let's play some more. Click Start Matching. After entering the hero selection interface, Qin Jiwei once again chose Yasuo in seconds. He always felt that this hero, which had just been released, was tailor-made for him. Teammate on the second floor. You're paralyzed, take my Yasuo. Qin Jiwei. Don't talk nonsense, I'll take you flying. 30 minutes later. Teammate 1. Rubbish. Teammate 2. Stupid torso. Teammate 3. 0-10-6. Is this a record that a human can achieve? Teammate 4. You useless bastard, Go and fight the bots. Qin Jiwei quickly quit the game, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Su Ming slept until 10 o'clock before getting up. After brushing teeth and washing up, Zhang Hong cooked a few dishes before leaving in the morning. Su Ming cooked a meal for himself, and at 11 o'clock, they had brunch together. The temperature in mid-June was already very high. Su Ming lay on the sofa, turned the fan to the highest level, and blew it towards himself. But after lying down for a while, I felt my underwear stuck to my butt again. I had to lift my butt, pull my underwear, and then lie down on my side. He took the test of Subject 1 twice. First time, 93 points. Second time, 96 points. Su Ming felt that he should have no problem taking the first part of the driving test now, so he planned to wait for Lao Su to get home from work, ask him for some money, and enroll in a driving school. Su Ming finished 2 tests for Subject 1. He didn't know what to do. He deleted all the games on his phone. At that time, short videos were not popular, and TikTok had not yet been launched. He opened QQ, but had no desire to chat. What is she doing? Su Ming's mind. Curious, he opened WeChat and took a look at the moments. Chun Qingqing had not deleted the photo taken yesterday. Su Ming opened the chat box with Chun Qingqing and sent a message using the typing function. Thank you for the cake last night. At this moment, Chun Qingqing, who was also bored at home, was reading comics to pass the time. When she heard her cell phone ringing, she picked it up and took a look. She thought for a moment and replied, I couldn't finish it. I wanted to throw it away, but I felt it was a pity, so I asked Annie Wong to give it to you on the way. Su Ming. Chun Qingqing, don't you have any friends? Chun Qingqing. What does it have to do with you? Su Ming. It seems I was right. Seeing that Chun Qingqing didn't reply for a long time, Su Ming typed again. Originally, for the sake of the cake last night, I could reluctantly make friends with you. Chun Qingqing. Thank you, I don't need it. Su Ming. No need. Forget it. What are you doing now? Chun Qingqing. Su Ming. I don't mean anything else. I just want to know how rich people kill time. I'm bored right now. Chun Qingqing. Read comics. Su Ming. You like reading comics too? Seeing this sentence, Chun Qingqing became somewhat interested, and she asked back, do you like it too? Yes. Su Ming added, I like reading comics the most, but you definitely haven't read the comics I read. Chun Qingqing. What are you looking at? Su Ming. Brave New World, Secret Teaching. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Qin Jiwei arrived at the milk tea shop at the school gate on time. I originally thought that Gu Mingyao was the only one there, but unexpectedly, besides her, the annoying Lu Qian was also there. Lu Qian was a chatterbox in class. She looked very ordinary, but she had something to talk about with everyone. She spent all day gossiping among the girls. That guy from class 7 confessed his love to so-and-so again. That guy from class 11 checked into a hotel with so-and-so yesterday. So-and-so was picked up by a BMW after school yesterday. Although they are in the same class, there are usually several groups. For example, those who are good at studying are in one circle, those who like to play games are in another circle, and those who read romance novels are in another circle. Every time she walked on the street, many people would look at Gu Mingyao. At this time, Lu Qian would feel particularly proud. She always felt that among those people who looked at Gu Mingyao, there must be a few who were secretly looking at her. Qin Jiwei this way. When Qin Jiwei saw Lu Qian, he walked over reluctantly. Qin Jiwei knew that Gu Mingyao asked him to come out. It must be related to Su Ming. He got straight to the point and asked, What's the matter with calling me out? Please sit down first. Qin Jiwei didn't sit down right away, but went to the counter to order a drink. Seeing that Gu Mingyao and Lu Qian didn't order anything, he added, Forget it, let's have 3 drinks. Put more ice in mine. After Qin Jiwei sat down, Gu Mingyao finally spoke. Qin Jiwei, do you know what Su Ming has been doing recently? He's working during the summer vacation. Summer job? As soon as Qin Jiwei finished speaking, Lu Qian suddenly said excitedly, Oh, I see. He must be broke, so he ignored you during this period. After all, going out to play costs money. Qin Jiwei felt a little unhappy when he heard this, and he said directly, You are probably overthinking it. Gu Mingyao's eyes tightened, and she asked, Then why did he go to work during the summer vacation? How would I know? He changed a lot after the college entrance examination. He didn't play games when I asked him to, and he didn't chat much. The day after the college entrance examination, he found a summer job, and recently, he was still looking at the questions of Subject 1. This, Qin Jiwei took the juice handed over by the waiter, took a sip, and then said, You called me out today just to ask this? Well, Mainly because he hasn't contacted me for several days. Qin Zhuwei said directly. When Su Ming was around you every day before, I didn't see you do anything to him. Gu Mingyao was speechless. Lu Qian immediately helped out and said, do you think that if you guys pursue girls, as long as you guys are nice to them, we have to agree? Qin Zhiwei said, if you like each other, then be together. If you don't like each other, then reject each other. If you don't like Su Ming, why do you accept the breakfast he buys for you every now and then? Lu Qian said confidently, accept is not equal to agree. Chapter 20. I am Chun Qingqing's mother. What kind of stupid logic is this? Although Qin Zhuwei had never been in a relationship, he could not accept such unreasonable statements, so he stood up and was about to leave. Gu Mingyao suddenly stood up and said, Qin Zhuwei, can you please not tell Su Ming that you saw me this afternoon? Don't worry, I'm not that talkative. Lu Qian also asked excitedly, who are you talking about? Qin Zhuwei was speechless. No, I didn't say anything about you. Why are you so excited? Gu Mingyao held Lu Qian and asked, then can you tell me where Su Ming is working during the summer vacation? Meet the music tavern. After saying that, Qin Zhiwei walked directly out of the milk tea shop. The moment he walked out the door, Qin Zhiwei regretted it so much. Damn it, I didn't get anything from this trip, and even lost the money for 2 cups of milk tea. These 2 people are really cool. They asked me out, but didn't order anything to drink. It's obvious that they wanted me to treat them. Qin Zhiwei, Qin Zhiwei, if you do this again next time, you'll be a bastard. After Qin Zhiwei left, in the milk tea shop, Mingyao, you're not thinking of looking for Su Ming, are you? Gu Mingyao shook her head gently. I haven't thought about it yet. In my opinion, if he doesn't want to date you, then forget it. Anyway, we have graduated now, and there will definitely be better boys in college. You are so pretty. You will definitely find a better one. Gu Mingyao said calmly. I just want to know why Su Ming suddenly became so cold to me. I've been thinking about it for a long time these past few days, but I still can't figure it out. Oh, don't think too much about it. It's all said in the news that there are so many more boys than girls now. In the future, we will choose them instead of them choosing us. Just wait and see. Su Ming will definitely regret it. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lao Su returned from work. As a veteran in the unit, he can basically complete his daily work tasks within 2 hours and spend the rest of the time slacking off. This is how it is within the system. If you don't want to climb up, life is actually quite comfortable. Dad, you're back. Seeing his son still at home, Lao Su was very surprised. Why are you still at home today? I have something to discuss with you. It's definitely nothing good. Su Ming pulled old Su to sit on the sofa and said with a smile, I have finished the questions for the first part of the driver's license. I want to go to the driving school to register tomorrow. Old Su calmly took out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it leisurely, and said, if you need money, go to your mother. Don't you know my position in the family? Mom won't be home at noon, and she doesn't get off work as early as you do, so you can take some time off first. Lao Su said very stubbornly, I don't have any money. Dad, you must have saved a lot of private money on the bathroom ceiling and under the TV cabinet. Lao Su couldn't sit still at that moment, and the cigarette almost fell out of his hand in fear. How did you find out? What can you hide from me at home? Don't tell your mom. I've been saving this for half a year. Su Ming smiled, but said nothing. Lao Su saw some threats in his son's smile. He snorted and said, you little brat, you're threatening me. I'll talk to your mom about your driver's license tonight. If we agree, I'll leave the money on the table in the living room before your mom, and I go to work tomorrow morning. Su Ming patted Lao Su on the shoulder and said with a smile, Lao Su, that's very nice. Let's make it like this. I'm going to work now. No respect for elders or younger ones. Jiang Meilin has been exhausted these 2 days. After finishing work yesterday, I came back from the neighboring province overnight to celebrate my daughter's birthday. The next morning before dawn, she took a bus back. After a busy day, Jiang Meilin did not return to the hotel, but asked her assistant to buy a ticket and return to Jiangzhou. After coming out of the train station, Jiang Meilin opened WeChat and sent a message to Wang Ruxue. Ruxue, is Qingqing at home today? Wang Ruxue, she's here. Jiang Meilin asked again. Let me confirm with you. Is the pub you mentioned called the Encounter Music Pub? Wang Ruxue. Yes. Shall I send you the address? Jiang Meilin. Okay, I'll go there now. If Qingqing wants to go out, tell me in advance. I don't want her to know that I went to see Su Ming. Wang Ruxue. I understand. Soon, Wang Ruxue sent the address. After seeing this, Jiang Meilin handed the phone to the driver and took a look. Xiao Wu, drive here. Okay, Mr. Jiang. The car drove all the way from the station to the door of the pub. At this moment, it was not completely dark yet. After cleaning, Su Ming sat on a chair at the door, waiting for customers boredly. Boss Jiang, we're here. Wait for me in the car. Okay. Jiang Meilin pushed open the car door, and a pair of round and smooth long legs stepped out of the car first, wearing a pair of red-soled high-heeled shoes. Jiang Meilin wore a shirt with a women's small suit on the upper body, a hip skirt on the lower body, and short hair to the ears. There was no gold or silver decoration on her body, but she wore an expensive women's watch on her right wrist. Overall, she looked very capable. After she got out of the car, she did not go directly to the pub. Instead, she went to the trunk, took out a pair of flat sandals and put them on, and then walked into the pub. Hello, welcome. What would you like to drink? There was no customer in the store at the moment, and Su Ming was the only boy in the store. Moreover, Jiang Meilin had seen Su Ming's photo and recognized him at a glance. You are Su Ming. It's me. Su Ming was confused. Do you know me? Jiang Meilin pulled out a chair and sat down, her expression showing no emotion. I'm Qin Qingqing's mother. Can I talk to you? Su Ming was shocked, but appeared calm on the surface. He pulled out a chair and sat down, waiting for Jiang Meilin's questions. In fact, he had already made preparations, but he didn't expect Jiang Meilin to come so quickly. As soon as Pei Yue saw Jiang Meilin's look, she knew that she had no good intentions, and that her temperament was definitely not that of an ordinary female leader. She had already guessed that Jiang Meilin was the leader of her junior high school classmate Wang Ruxue, so when Zhang Xianwan and Zhou Ying wanted to come forward to eavesdrop, they were stopped by Pei Yue. First, tell me how you and my Qingqing met. Su Ming answered truthfully. After listening to this, Jiang Meilin said calmly, So how many times have you met so far? 3 times. The first time was by the lake, the second time was here, the third time was at the bank, and then I went to the mall. Jiang Meilin firmly took the initiative in this conversation. Regarding the matter between you and Qingqing, do you have anything you want to explain to me? Annie, you shouldn't ask me this. You should know your own daughter well. You don't really think that your daughter would fall in love with a boy after only meeting him 3 times, right? Su Ming, who was sitting opposite her, would dare to look her in the eye the whole time while talking. You know, in the company, even the heads of various departments would never dare to look her in the eye when they saw her. It's not impossible. Jiang Meilin said, My ex-husband and I also had a flash marriage. At that time, everyone around me said that I was in love. Su Ming suppressed a smile and said, Then you can rest assured, Andy. Your daughter is definitely not a love-brain person. Jiang Meilin changed the subject. How old are you? 18. You just finished the college entrance examination? Are there any target schools? Su Ming said, Modu Finance College. Jiang Meilin raised her eyebrows and said, I know this university. It is considered a second-tier university in Shanghai, but we need scores above the first tier to get in. If you can get into this university, you can actually have better choices. With my college entrance exam score, if I want to go to Shanghai, there aren't many options. So the first thing you consider is the location? As an elder, I want to remind you that it is not a very rational choice for ordinary people to study finance. Su Ming smiled and said, I will become a rich man. Jiang Meilin didn't know where Su Ming's confidence came from, but seeing his confident expression, Jiang Meilin was somewhat moved. Su Ming actually has excellent hard conditions, height, appearance, personality. If he is really ambitious, it may not be. Chapter 21 You forgot to delete your browser history. Jiang Meilin quickly came to her senses, realizing that she had been overthinking. She raised her hand and glanced at her watch, then smiled and said to Su Ming, I didn't come to you today to blame you. I don't even object to you being friends with Qingqing, but I hope you don't cross certain boundaries. You are a very smart child and should understand what I mean. Su Ming smiled and said, Don't worry, Annie, this kind of thing will not happen. Thanks. Jiang Meilin stood up and was about to leave, but suddenly turned around and asked, Andy, can I add you on WeChat? Certainly. Su Ming took out his phone and asked Jiang Meilin to scan the code. After Jiang Meilin added it, she reminded him, My last name is Jiang. Okay. Jiang Meilin smiled slightly and walked out of the pub. After she got back in the car, she asked the driver to drive back home. Wang Ruxue saw Jiang Meilin coming back and said, Boss Jiang, the noodles are already cooked in the pot. Qingqing is eating them. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. Thanks for your hard work. It should be. Jiang Meilin walked into the living room. Next to the dining table, Chun Ching was eating noodles in small bites. Since the noodles were just served from the pot, Chun Ching would pout her lips to blow on them to cool them down before taking each bite. Jiang Meilin walked up with a smile, took out a hairband from her bag, and after rolling up Chun Ching's long, black, and smooth hair, she skillfully tied it up. Then he went into the kitchen, served himself a bowl of noodles, and sat opposite Chun Ching. Ching, Mom's work at this stage is basically over. You can rest at home for a while. Oh, do you want to go traveling? Mom can take you out to play for a few days. Chun Ching shook her head and refused directly. Jiang Meilin could only change the subject and asked patiently, your college entrance examination results will be out in a few days. Have you decided which university to apply to? Chun Ching put down her chopsticks and hesitated. After a long while, she said, I'm going to the Magic City. Although she had known for a long time that her daughter would choose between the Zhongyang Conservatory of Music and the Magic City Conservatory of Music, Jiang Meilin's heart still skipped a beat when she heard that Chun Ching had finally chosen the Magic City Conservatory of Music. It was not because of anything else, but because just now in that pub, the boy named Su Ming also clearly stated that he was going to the Magic City. Could it be that Ching chose to go to the Magic City because of him? Jiang Meilin confirmed again. Have you thought about it? Jiang Meilin's appearance was just a small episode for Su Ming. I have to continue working during the summer vacation. Money has to be earned slowly. The scene where a rich man uses $1 million to make a man leave his daughter only appears in novels and TV dramas. It is impossible to happen in reality. Finally, another day passed, and Su Ming dragged his tired body back home. Because his parents were asleep, he deliberately slowed down his pace. When he saw a stack of money on the table in the living room, he was stunned for a moment and finally smiled and walked forward to take the money back to the room. After taking a cold shower, changing into shorts and a yellowed white t-shirt, Su Ming opened his stock account and took a look. When he found that the funds had not changed much, he did not feel much. Stock trading is something that cannot be rushed. The fact that there was no increase today only meant that the time has not come yet. Su Ming opened QQ and sent a message to Qin Jiwei. Weigo, are you asleep? Qin Jiwei really hadn't slept yet. He had to attend evening self-study classes every day for 3 years in high school, and he had developed the habit of going to bed late. When he saw the message from Su Ming, he thought Gu Mingyao had gone to see Su Ming today and quickly replied, No, Su, do you want to go to learn how to drive together tomorrow? Autistic person, learning driver's license? Autistic patient, there's no need to rush. There's plenty of time to learn in college. Su, I plan to register tomorrow. If you want to go, let's go together. If you finish the exam early, you don't have to take the college entrance exam. Qin Jiwei was a man with no strong opinions. He was used to doing something with Su Ming. He quickly said, then I'll ask my parents tomorrow. If they agree, I'll go sign up with you. Okay, I'll come find you tomorrow. Okay. Nothing happened overnight. The next morning, Su Ming got up, drank a bowl of porridge, and went to Qin Jiwei's house. Their homes were not far from each other. It took about 15 minutes to walk there, and it would be even faster if they rode a bike. When they reached the supermarket downstairs from Qin Jiwei's house, Su Ming greeted the woman who was busy tidying up the shelves inside. Annie Wang. Su Ming is here. Well, I'm here to find Jiwei. You go up. He may not be up yet. Qin Jiwei's family runs a supermarket, but it's a small supermarket not much bigger than a convenience store. Qin Jiwei's father Qin Wenliang is responsible for purchasing the goods, while the task of looking after the store is basically given to Wang Mei. Su Ming walked straight through the supermarket and went down the stairs to find Qin Jiwei, who was still sleeping soundly on the bed. You bastard. You can't even afford it. Su Ming saw Qin Jiwei lying on the bed like a dead pig and directly pulled the quilt off him. Qin Jiwei woke up slowly, saw Su Ming coming, yawned and asked, Why are you here so early? Morning. Did your dad agree to let you get a driver's license? I agree. Qin Jiwei put on his shoes, stretched, and said, My dad said that this money will be spent sooner or later. My dad also knows a driving school coach, and he called this morning to ask about the registration fee. How much? 2008. Su Ming didn't expect that learning to drive would be so cheap this year. He spent more than 3,000 yuan to get a driver's license in college in his previous life. My mother left 3,500 for me last night, so I could embezzle $700. This way, I would be one step closer to becoming a millionaire. Qin Jiwei pointed at the computer and said, You play on the computer for a while. I'm going to brush my teeth and eat something. We'll go sign up later. Hurry up. You fight a big fight. I'll be there in a minute. Su Ming sat down in front of the computer. Of course, he didn't play any games. With his current skills, he was afraid that he couldn't even beat the computer online. Su Ming opened the browser and casually looked at the latest hot news. Qin Jiwei was in the bathroom and finished washing up in no time. Just as he walked into the kitchen to eat something, Su Ming's voice was heard outside. Qin Jiwei, you bastard. You watched movies until 2 a.m. last night. Are you still human? Qin Jiwei ran back to the room and asked, How did you know that? You forgot to delete your browser history. Grass. It was just past 9 o'clock when the two of them left home. The driving school was about 4 kilometers away. Qin Jiwei rode his family's small donkey electric bike and took Su Ming to the driving school quickly. After Qin Jiwei arrived at the driving school, he found his father's friend. Under his guidance, the two quickly registered at the driving school and received an umbrella and a question book for Subject 1. Uncle, when can we take the first subject exam? It will probably take about a week. It's easy for you young people to take the driving test for Part 1. Just go back and take a look at it in the next few days. I will take a group of people to take the driving test for Part 2 this afternoon. If nothing goes wrong, you can start practicing driving with me tomorrow. Qin Jiwei rubbed his hands and said excitedly, Uncle, can we get in the car now and feel it? Let's go. The coach, surnamed Liu, brought the two to his driving school car, then opened the main driver's door and said to Qin Jiwei, You should turn the steering wheel a few times to get a feel for it. I will teach you the rest tomorrow. Good. Qin Jiwei turned the steering wheel several times and prepared to let Su Ming get in to experience it. Unexpectedly, Su Ming shook his head and said, I won't go in. Driving is very easy for me. Don't blow it. If you don't believe it, forget it. When Coach Liu heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, Watching others drive and driving yourself are two completely different things. Don't think that driving is a simple thing just because others drive easily. Su Ming smiled and said, Uncle, have you ever heard of launch start and curve drift? Chapter 22, Multiple Choice Questions. Boy, don't tell me so much. I'll give you the car keys. Do you dare to drive? That Su Ming was so good at bragging. Coach Liu took out the key from his pocket and handed it to Su Ming. He had taught many students, but without exception, they were all very nervous when they drove for the first time and did not dare to step on the accelerator. Su Ming shrugged. Why should I be afraid of this? Su Ming reached out to take the key, and Coach Liu soon sat in the passenger seat. The driving school's cars all have brakes on the passenger seat, which is why Coach Liu dared to hand the car over to Su Ming. Qin Jiwei scratched his head beside him and said, Su Ming, don't hit me in the face. It will be a bad ending if you crash into a car later. Are you going to get in the car or not? If you don't, get out of here. Qin Jiwei hesitated for a moment, but still sat in the back row. Driving is a skill that, once learned, will never be forgotten. As soon as Su Ming got in the car, he skillfully adjusted the seat and fastened his seatbelt. Seeing that he was serious, Coach Liu deliberately kept silent, wanting to see if he would start the car. Su Ming pressed the clutch and brake, inserted the key to start the car, and then asked with a smile, Uncle, how about I show you a launch control first? Coach Liu laughed angrily. Don't start with a launch. If you can reverse into the garage now, you can practice driving whenever you want in the future. Okay. After releasing the clutch and releasing the brake, the car started to move slowly. Su Ming felt that the car was a bit slow, so he stepped on the accelerator and controlled the speed at about 40 yards. He drove to the parking area skillfully, then put the car in reverse gear and started to back up into the parking space. The whole set of movements was smooth and flowing, and he easily poured the car into the garage in the marked area. Qin Jiwei, who was sitting in the back row, was stunned. No, Su Ming, when did you learn to drive? Su Ming waved his hand, shifted the gear to neutral, and made an excuse. Watch more and learn more. My dad taught me a few tricks. Coach Liu was surprised but also very happy. For a student who could reverse into a parking space right after signing up, it would be no problem for him to get a driver's license. This could definitely be included in his performance indicators. He patted Su Ming on the shoulder and said with a smile, You have something, kid. Not bad. Wait for my notice tomorrow, and we will try to get a driver's license during the summer vacation. That's a must. Su Ming and Qin Jiwei left the driving school. They rode their electric bikes back the same way. On the way, Qin Jiwei said aggrievedly, You can reverse into the parking space right after you signed up. When the second subject is tested, if you pass it and I fail, won't it be embarrassing for me? Just get used to it. You'll have many opportunities to embarrass yourself in front of me in the future. Fuck you. Su Ming smiled and was in a good mood. Just as I was almost home, the phone in my pocket rang again. Su Ming took it out and saw that there was no note, so he connected the phone and put it to his ear. Hello, who is this? The other side came straight to the point. I am Chen Qingqing's father. You are Su Ming, right? Su Ming immediately sat up straight. It's me. Aunt Jiang has already looked for me. Is there anything else you want to talk to me about? Chen Hansong was stunned when he heard this. Jiang Meilin did not tell Su Ming about what she had discussed with him, and he did not know about it either. After a moment of silence, Chen Hansong said, Are you free this afternoon? Su Ming replied truthfully, Yes, I do, but I have work to do in the evening. It won't keep you long. I want to talk to you. I'll go find you, Chen Hansong said as if he was giving an order. Tell me your location, and I'll have the driver pick you up this afternoon. The driver will call you when he arrives. Su Ming agreed. Okay. After telling Chen Hansong his address, Su Ming hung up the phone. Qin Jiwei asked curiously, Who is it? You don't know him. Bullshit. Who among the people you know I don't know? Su Ming was speechless. You really don't know this. Qin Jiwei refused to give up. Tell me who you are first. Su Ming boasted. My girlfriend's father. Sizzle. The electric car braked to a sudden stop. Qin Jiwei turned around, his eyes widened, and he asked, Your girlfriend's father, Gu Mingyao's father? Bullshit. Gu Mingyao and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. So, you found a new girlfriend. That's why you gave up pursuing Gu Mingyao. That's right, that makes sense. In fact, you should have found someone else to pursue a long time ago. The way Gu Mingyao treated you was obviously to keep you hanging. And that Lu Qian next to her is obviously a gossip. Su Ming knew that Qin Jiwei had misunderstood. He did not explain, and this excuse seemed reasonable to him. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense why I changed so quickly. What's your girlfriend's name? How old is she? Did she go to the same high school as us? No. Why do you always have secret relationships? Don't talk nonsense. Help me with a multiple choice question first. Multiple choice? What multiple choice? Excuse me. What should I bring to show my respect when I go to my father-in-law's house for the first time? A. Executive jacket plus Audi. B. Fakin Matai plus Wazi. D. Explosive ghost fire plus yellow hair. E and B. Ultrasound films plus arrogance. If it were you, which one would you choose? Qin Jiwei rolled his eyes and said, You have no house, no car, and no savings now. You have to pass all three options, A, B, C. No. Are you really going to meet her father this afternoon? It's a long story. I met her mother last time. Her mother is relatively easy to talk to. Judging from her father's tone, he seems a bit difficult to deal with. Anyway, if he talks to me nicely, then I will talk to him nicely. If he talks to me nonsense, then I will. Brother, tell me in detail. Speaking of chicken feathers, I'm going home first. See you tomorrow. Su Ming got off the car and went home. Qin Jiwei was very uncomfortable being hung there, but it was time for dinner, so he could only ride his donkey back. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. An Audi A6L stopped at the gate of the community where Su Ming lived. Su Ming received the call. He left home shortly afterwards. After he got in the car, the driver took him directly to the bank without saying a word. The president is waiting for you upstairs. Su Ming nodded and got out of the car. As soon as he walked into the lobby, a staff member came up to him and asked, Are you Su Ming? It's me. Come with me. The staff led Su Ming all the way to the door of Chen Hansong's office. After knocking on the door twice, the staff went downstairs after hearing Chen Hansong's voice from inside. Su Ming didn't hesitate. He pushed the door open and walked straight in. Chen Hansong was the only one in the office. When he saw Su Ming coming, he put down his work, pointed at the chair opposite his desk, and said, Sit down. Uncle Chen, I think you should have contacted Aunt Jiang. I've already explained the last incident to Aunt Jiang very clearly. Don't be nervous. Sit down first. I'm not nervous. I already know the general situation. I called you here to talk about another matter. What's up? I heard from Qingqing's mother that you are going to the Magic City to attend university. Right. Chen Hansong crossed his legs and said proudly, It's like this, my daughter has decided to go to the Magic City Conservatory of Music. Her mother, and I can't persuade her to change her mind. I asked you to come here to discuss with you. Can you change your target school? Cannot. Su Ming rejected it directly and cleanly. Chen Hansong frowned and quickly tempted him. Don't rush to refuse. I have some connections in the financial industry. If you can agree to my offer, it shouldn't be difficult for me to find you a decent job after you graduate from college. Isn't the purpose of going to college to find a good job in the future? Crash. Su Ming stood up, and the chair rubbed against the tiles, making a harsh sound. Su Ming said coldly, "Just because your daughter and I are going to college in the same city, you want me to change college? Uncle Chun, how much do you despise me? I, I have only met your daughter 3 times, and there is a high possibility that we will not be in touch again in the future. In the past, I always did whatever others told me to do, but now I want to change my way of life. The more others don't want me to do something, the more I will do it." Su Ming moved the chair back to its original position. Before leaving, he couldn't help but add one more sentence. "Uncle Chun, are you always so high-handed and arrogant when talking to others? Or is it only when you talk to a small person like me that you are like this?" Chun Han Song was speechless. Su Ming didn't give him a chance to explain and turned around and left. Chapter 23, If I Become Rich One Day. Screwed it. Su Ming slammed the door and left. This thought emerged in Chun Han Song's mind. He didn't expect Su Ming to refuse. I didn't expect his attitude to be so tough. Why should an 18-year-old boy do that? Chun Han Song was not angry. If Su Ming did not have an unclear relationship with his daughter, he would even look at Su Ming with admiration. Su Ming was the first one who dared to speak to him in such a tough tone in his territory. But the key point is that Chun Han Song cares a lot about the relationship between Su Ming and his daughter. Although he and Jiang Meilin have divorced, Chun Qingqing has always been the apple of Chun Han Song's eye. Otherwise, he would not have turned down that important dinner party and gone to celebrate Chun Qingqing's birthday on the night of her birthday. This is not Chun Han Song's fault. As a father, the position of his daughter in his heart will always be irreplaceable. Su Ming? A prospective college student from an ordinary family with no background. If Chun Qingqing said that she wanted to fall in love, Chun Han Song would be able to introduce her to several outstanding young men whose families have assets worth hundreds of millions tomorrow. So after Jiang Meilin told him that they both planned to go to Shanghai to attend university, he had the idea of letting Su Ming change universities. Chun Han Song sighed, took out his cell phone, and called Jiang Meilin. "I just talked to that guy. It seems I messed up this matter." "What did you say?" Chun Han Song told Jiang Meilin about the conversation they had just had. Jiang Meilin got angry and said, "I told you that he is different from other high school students, but you insisted on being so tough. Now you have done something wrong." Chun Han Song said helplessly, "How could I know he would refuse?" Beep, beep, beep. Jiang Meilin hung up the phone directly. Su Ming walked out of the bank. Thinking of the way Chun Han Song spoke just now, he felt very unhappy. He took out his cell phone and sent a message directly to Chun Qingqing. "Su Ming, are you there?" Chun Qingqing, who was trying to compose her own music at home at the moment, heard her cell phone ringing. She wanted to ignore it at first, but after playing the guitar twice, she couldn't help but pick up the phone to take a look. Saw the message sent by Su Ming. She sent a question mark. Su Ming tapped the word. "Come to the pub tonight?" Chun Qingqing. "What's the matter?" Su Ming. "It's okay. My hands are itching. I want to play the guitar." Chun Qingqing paused for a moment and asked, "What time?" Su Ming. "I'll be here until 11 o'clock. Chun Qingqing. "Okay." Su Ming. "I didn't expect you to agree so quickly." Chun Qingqing. "I'm just curious about what other songs you can play." Su Ming. "I know a lot, some of which you have never heard of." Chun Qingqing. "I don't believe it." Su Ming. "If you don't believe me, I'll play an original song for you tonight." Su Ming. "That's it. I'll wait for you." For some reason, when Chun Qingqing saw the words, "I'll wait for you," she felt a little embarrassed. She turned off her phone and threw it on the sofa. 5 minutes passed. Chun Qingqing. "Yeah." That night, after the mother and daughter finished their meal, Jiang Meilin took the initiative to suggest, "Qingqing, do you want to go out for a walk with your mother in the evening?" "No, I have other things to do." "Anything else?" Jiang Meilin raised her eyebrows and asked, "What do you want?" Chun Qingqing didn't know how to beat around the bush, nor did she want to. She said simply and clearly, "I'm going to the pub to find Su Ming tonight." Su Ming. After hearing this, Jiang Meilin froze where she was. Thinking of the call Chun Han Song made to her in the afternoon, Jiang Meilin realized that Su Ming was taking revenge on her ex-husband. It seems that Chun Han Song is still hiding something from himself. His attitude in the afternoon may be tougher than he imagined. Otherwise, Su Ming would not have done this. Jiang Meilin and Chun Han Song have been husband and wife for so many years, so they naturally know each other very well. Chun Han Song's machismo has always been there. Jiang Meilin was stunned for a moment and asked humbly, "Qingqing, can Mom go with you?" "You can go if you want." Chun Qingqing replied indifferently, then ran upstairs to change clothes. Jiang Meilin didn't expect that Chun Qingqing, who never liked wearing skirts, would actually change into a cream-colored mini dress before going to meet Su Ming. This is definitely a dangerous signal. 7:50 in the evening. Jiang Meilin drove Chun Qingqing to the Eugene music pub. Jiang Meilin did not go in with Chun Qingqing, but found an excuse to stop the car. Wanted to see what Su Ming was like when he and his daughter were alone together. Seeing Chun Qingqing coming so early, Su Ming greeted her with a smile. "Are you here?" Chun Qingqing nodded softly. "Please sit anywhere. I'll go get you a glass of water. Don't worry, I won't take the wrong cup this time." After saying that, Su Ming left. He didn't notice the shy expression on Chun Qingqing's face after hearing this. It was still early, and there were not many customers in the store. Su Ming brought a glass of water over. He sat down opposite Chun Qingqing. He said very frankly, "Chun Qingqing, I want to apologize to you first." Chun Qingqing blinked and looked at Su Ming with confusion. Su Ming said, "Your father came to me this afternoon and said something that made me very angry. In short, he wanted me to stay away from you. I was very annoyed after hearing that, so I sent you a message and asked you to come over. The purpose was to take revenge on your father." "It's okay. I don't mind. Why?" Su Ming was curious. He always thinks everyone should listen to him, so I can probably guess what he said to you. Su Ming smiled, "But I didn't expect you would choose to go to the Magic City to study in college." When Chun Qingqing heard this, her heartbeat began to speed up. She even lowered her head and did not look into Su Ming's eyes again. She said hurriedly, "You don't think that I chose you because of you?" Before she finished speaking, Su Ming interrupted her and said, "Of course not. I'm not that narcissistic. You have self-awareness." Su Ming fell silent. The atmosphere in the store became ambiguous. Chun Qingqing knew that Pei Yue, Zhang Xiangwan, and Zhou Ying were all secretly looking at her. She felt that she couldn't remain silent any longer, so she took the initiative to ask, "Who did you learn guitar from?" "I'm self-taught." "Where do you find the time?" Su Ming smiled and said, "As for time, I can find it if I squeeze it in. Besides, maybe I am a genius in music." Bragging, Su Ming stretched out his hand to Chun Qingqing. "Give me the guitar." Chun Qingqing took the guitar out of the box and handed it to Su Ming. Su Ming reached out to take it. Jiang Meilin also walked in from outside. Seeing her coming, Su Ming did not feel shy. He called her Aunt Jiang generously and then said to Chun Qingqing, "After I talked with your father in the afternoon, I wrote a song by myself. The song is called If One Day I Become Very Rich." Su Ming could come up with such a rustic song title, but she was still very curious about what kind of song it was. Could it be related to what happened this afternoon? Su Ming held a guitar, sat opposite the mother and daughter, and started to sing by himself. He has an uninhibited smile and a wild voice. It's like wandering in your own music. The most important thing is the lyrics of this song. If one day I become very rich, my first choice is not to travel around the world, lying on the world's largest and softest sofa. Eat and then sleep, then eat again, and it will be a year. Chun Qingqing had never heard this song before, but there were very few songs she had not heard before, so she already believed that this song was originally written by Su Ming. Chun Qingqing didn't expect that in addition to playing the guitar, Su Ming could also write his own songs. Her attention unconsciously shifted to Su Ming's face. She didn't even notice that her eyes had never left him until Su Ming finished singing the whole song. Normally, this song will be released 3 years later. Su Ming were to sing it now, of course no one would have heard it. Su Ming silently apologized to Mao Bai in his heart, while at the same time wondering what impact his actions would have. Will it be that when I sing this song, another song of the same type will replace it? Or does this song belong to me from now on and will no longer have anything to do with Mao Bai? Su Ming didn't know the result now, and he didn't think much about it. It's none of my business. When he came to his senses, he found that Jiang Meiling and Chun Qingqing were both staring at him intently. There was pure surprise in Jiang Meiling's eyes, while there were 3 parts of surprise, 3 parts of curiosity, and 3 parts of admiration in Chun Qingqing's eyes. In addition, there seemed to be a little bit of admiration. Chapter 24. The Collapse of Rights and Music. So what? I told you I'm a genius, right? Chun Qingqing came back to her senses and moved her lips, but she couldn't say a word. Jiang Meilin, who was standing next to her, saw her daughter's expression and was also touched. She sighed secretly in her heart and then said to Su Ming very sincerely, "Su Ming, I want to apologize to you on behalf of Qingqing's father." "Fine. Su Ming put the guitar on the table and said with a smile, "Actually, I can understand that. If I were Uncle Chun, I would probably stop my daughter from hanging out with a young man who still needs to work in a bar during the summer vacation." Jiang Meilin's eyes lit up. She didn't expect that Su Ming could actually think about this issue from Chen Hansong's perspective. This child is extremely mature. I just don't like the way Uncle Chen talks to me in such an overbearing way. After all, I am young. Isn't there an idiom called young and frivolous? But I will probably forget about it after I sleep tonight. Su Ming stood up and said, "Aunt Jiang, I'll go get you a cup of hot water." "Thanks." Su Ming also brought Jiang Meilin a cup of hot water. After that, Chen Qingqing didn't say anything else. Jiang Meilin and Su Ming were chatting the whole time. In the end, the two of them actually talked about the topic of life ideals. "Su Ming, what are your ideals?" "I haven't thought about the long term yet. My current goal is to make money. Lots of money." Jiang Meilin didn't think Su Ming was being mercenary. She just asked, "How much is too much?" Su Ming thought about it and smiled. "It will be considered a lot only when my bank account is big enough to make Uncle Chun have no prejudice against me." Jiang Meilin pursed her lips and then laughed. "Is money really that important to you?" Of course, for the poor, most of their troubles are caused by money. Not to mention that in this era of social chaos, if you don't have money, you can't even get married. The collapse of rituals and music? Oh, it's because the betrothal gift negotiation broke down, and the onlookers were so happy. Chun Qingqing burst out laughing, then quickly lowered her head again. She felt embarrassed to laugh out loud in front of so many people. Jiang Meilin shook her head and sighed. "Actually, I used to think so too. I thought that a man's ability to make money meant he was excellent, but later on, I didn't think so anymore. The ability to make money is important, but, of course, when choosing a partner, you can't just look at whether he has the ability to make money." "Then what are you looking at?" "I don't know either. I'm not a woman." Jiang Meilin was speechless, but she still changed the question and asked, "Then what qualities do you think a good man should have?" Su Ming scratched his head and thought for a long time before he spoke. "I don't know the details, but I can give you an example. I just think if a man wants to eat KFC and a single meal at KFC costs 50 yuan, he will think it's expensive, but if his wife or children want to eat it, he will buy it without hesitation. I think such a man is probably good." Su Ming was actually talking about himself. After going to college and falling in love with Gu Mingyao, he lived frugally every day at school, thinking that everything was expensive. But every time he went out to eat with Gu Mingyao, he didn't even look at the menu. But Su Ming regrets it now, because he feels that all his sincere efforts have been wasted. When Jiang Meilin heard this, her eyes lit up. When it was almost 9 o'clock, customers started to come to the store. Seeing this, Su Ming stood up and said, "Annie, I'm sorry, I have to work." Jiang Meilin also stood up and said, "Su Ming, it's nice to chat with you. I apologize to you again for what happened today. If Qingqing comes to see you again next time, I won't come with her." Su Ming understood what Jiang Meilin meant, and he smiled and said, "Please rest assured, Annie, I will keep my word as I said last time. Goodbye." "Goodbye." Just as the mother and daughter were about to leave, Su Ming saw the guitar still on the table and hurriedly said, "Chen Qingqing, your guitar." Chen Qingqing turned her head and said quickly and quietly, "I'll lend it to you for a few days. Remember to return it to me." Su Ming was stunned, then smiled foolishly. Pei Yue didn't know when she came to Su Ming's side. She watched the mother and daughter get on the car with Su Ming. Then she put her hand on Su Ming's shoulder and said in the same tone as Su Ming that day, "Alas, I don't think dating is interesting." Su Ming knew that the proprietress was being sarcastic to him. He said very firmly, "It doesn't make any sense." Pei Yue snorted and said with a smile, "You've already met your mother-in-law twice, and you're still embarrassed?" "What mother-in-law? I don't understand what you mean." "Tisk, why are you pretending? Chun Qingqing is such a beautiful girl. How could you not like her?" Pei Yue pushed Su Ming forward, looked him up and down, and said with a groan, "You want to be a hooligan to me, right? Do you still want your salary for today?" "Madam, I was wrong. Go, go, go. On the first day, I thought you were a very honest little guy, but I didn't expect you to be such a scumbag." Su Ming said seriously, "Madam Boss, in this world, no one likes honest people." Yeah, yeah. Haven't you heard the saying, honest people come after dogs? Go away. Go and sing your song with your guitar. Don't talk nonsense to me." Su Ming stood in a military posture and saluted Pei Yue. "Yes, sir." Seeing Su Ming carrying his guitar and singing, Pei Yue couldn't help laughing. He leaned against the door frame, looking at the moon in the sky, and the smile on his face gradually froze. She thought of the man who had turned into a star in the sky. The next afternoon, Su Ming started to go to the driving school to practice driving with Qin Jiwei. However, because Su Ming's starting point was much higher than Qin Jiwei's, the practice time was often Su Ming practicing for 10 minutes and Qin Jiwei practicing for 50 minutes. Just like that, after a day of study, when he went again the next day, Qin Jiwei was still not as good as Su Mingkai. Originally, Qin Jiwei's progress was normal, but because of the comparison with Su Ming, Coach Lu scolded Qin Jiwei in the car every day. When Qin Jiwei returned home after driving practice the next day, he felt so aggrieved. Su Ming, F***ku, I will never do the same thing with you again. You son of a bitch, you're still complaining. Coach Lu, that old Biden, saw that I could drive, so he ran off to enjoy the cool air and asked me to teach you how to reverse into a parking space. Damn, this is the first time I feel that I've wasted my money. When I get my driver's license, the first thing I'll do is treat Lao Lu to a meal. When the dishes are served, I'll sneak away and let him pay the bill. Blood. Su Ming. What? What does your girlfriend look like? That's pretty wow. Chapter 25 buff is fully stacked. Su Ming would not tell Qin Jiwei more details. He is just bragging to Qin Jiwei now. If Chun Qingqing knew about this, she would probably block and delete him on the same day. After returning home and resting for an hour or so, Su Ming met Lao Su, who had just returned home from work on his way to the store. Su Ming, get up early tomorrow morning. Su Ming was confused. Dad, what's wrong? The college entrance examination results will be released tomorrow morning. How come you even forgot about this? After the college entrance examination, Su Ming really didn't think about this. He smiled and said, Don't worry, Lao Su, everything is under control. Su Ming ran away after saying this. Old Su didn't know whether to laugh or cry, thinking that his son had been extremely nervous during the previous mock exams. So how could he be so calm when the college entrance examination results were released tomorrow? Could it be that this kid really got the upper hand? Then the Su family's ancestral graves would really be filled with smoke. When they arrived at the pub, it was still early. After Su Ming and Zhou cleaned the store briefly, they leaned against the counter, took out their cell phones, and sent a message to Qin Jiwei. Su Ming, Brother Wei, the scores will be released tomorrow. Have you decided which university to apply to? Qin Jiwei. Fuck, can you please not mention this? It makes me nervous. Su Ming. Why are you so nervous? Didn't I tell you that you passed the second tier line? Qin Jiwei. Don't be ridiculous. Where are you going to college? Su Ming. Devil City. Qin Jiwei. It's a bit far? Su Ming. Come with me. According to the original plot development, Qin Jiwei finally went to the provincial capital to attend college. It was while in college that he met his future wife. In order to prevent Qin Jiwei from repeating the same mistake, Su Ming wanted Qin Jiwei to go to Shanghai with him. In this way, Qin Jiwei would not meet the woman who cheated on him, and Su Ming could be said to have pulled him out of the fire. Qin Jiwei, let's wait until the scores come out. Su Ming, that's fine. Su Ming didn't remember exactly how many points Qin Jiwei got in the exam. He only knew that his score was slightly higher than his. While Su Ming and Qin Jiwei were chatting, classmates in the high school group were also chatting excitedly. Nowadays, high schools are divided into key classes and ordinary classes. It is easy to get into undergraduate programs and key classes, but for ordinary classes, getting into undergraduate programs is not an easy thing. At this moment, everyone in the group is talking about how many students in the class will be able to go to college this year. According to past experience, in a class like Su Ming's, no more than 10 people can go to undergraduate school. And these are only those who have passed the undergraduate line. You should know that if you have just passed the undergraduate line, you can basically go to private universities, and the tuition fees of private universities start at 10,000 or 20,000 yuan. So many people who have just passed the undergraduate line would rather choose to go to some better technical colleges. Li Nan, Gu Mingyao, Qin Jiwei, and Duan Qingjun are more likely to be admitted to undergraduate programs, right? Their grades are relatively stable. I heard from Qin Jiwei that Su Ming also did well in the exam this year. He is a lame duck. No matter how well he does in the exam, he won't be able to pass the English test. That is, who had just finished chatting with Su Ming, immediately ran to the group to speak. Most of the English questions are multiple choice questions, with a 1/4 probability. What if I get them all right? There are so many what-ifs. Xia Hong said directly. If Su Ming can pass the exam, I will climb directly. Su Ming in the KTV last time also showed up. I'll just eat a bunch of it. Su Ming looked at the group messages and thought they were very childish. He quit QQ and opened WeChat. I typed a few words and sent them to Chin Ching Ching. Su Ming, you can check your scores tomorrow morning. Have you decided which university to apply to? Chun Ching Ching, Magic City Conservatory of Music. Su Ming, Conservatory of Music? Are you going to an art school? Chun Ching Ching, I am an art student. Su Ming, no wonder. Chun Ching Ching, don't break the guitar. Su Ming, don't worry. I treat you like a baby and even hold you when I sleep. Chun Ching Ching, disgusting. Su Ming, I didn't hug you. Why are you disgusted? Chun Ching Ching, shut up. Chun Ching Ching, can you send me the lyrics and music of the song you wrote? Su Ming, do you want to sing? Chun Ching Ching didn't send any message for a whole minute. Su Ming joked, how about I sell you the copyright of this song? From now on, this song will be yours. Chun Ching Ching, sure. How much do you want? Su Ming typed a string of numbers and sent it over. 10,000. Chun Ching Ching, deal. Su Ming. Su Ming, no. Do you really have so much money? Su Ming, what if I say 50,000? Chun Ching Ching, not expensive. Su Ming, I regret it. Can we renegotiate the price? Chun Ching Ching, no, the deal has just been made. Send me the lyrics and music and I'll transfer the money to your card. Su Ming, why do I feel like I've been cheated? Chun Ching Ching, send me the card number. Su Ming, why? Are you afraid that I will regret it? Chun Ching Ching, yeah. Su Ming, stuck at home? I'll post it after I get off work. Chun Ching Ching, I searched the internet for the 2 comic books you mentioned last time, but I couldn't find them. Su Ming, well, that's from abroad. You can't find it in China. Chun Ching Ching, oh. Su Ming said with a guilty conscience, I won't talk about this anymore. I'm busy. Until 11:30 at night. Su Ming returned home and sent the card number to Chin Ching Ching. Unexpectedly, she immediately transferred 10,000 yuan to him. Su Ming was stunned. He knew that Chin Ching Ching's family was rich, but he didn't expect that she, a prospective college student, could easily take out 10,000 yuan. He is cool, good-looking, and rich, and all these buffs are stacked up. Su Ming saw the text message. He immediately got up, wrote the lyrics and music on a piece of white paper with a pen, then took a photo and sent it to Chin Ching Ching. Su Ming, Miss, we'll settle the deal after we hand over the money. Chun Ching Ching, I understand. Please leave. Su Ming, yes. When Chun Ching Ching saw Su Ming's reply, she rolled around on the bed with a smile. She saved the photo and then hummed along with the tune. As a student ranked 3rd in the entrance examination of Shanghai Conservatory of Music, Chun Ching Ching also has excellent vocal conditions. She only hummed it twice before she was able to sing the song relatively fluently. The sound is lazy and continuous, with a unique flavor. What she didn't know was, right now, Jiang Meilin in the next room was wearing pajamas and putting her ear against the middle partition wall, eavesdropping on the movements in her room. This song is... Jiang Meilin narrowed her eyes, crossed her arms over her chest, and murmured to herself, could it be that I really like him?